Chapter 2439. It was rare to see such a person in the entire god world, but now he had appeared in the endless bone region. This was fate. Mo Yuqian knew that those who were blessed with good karma were unquestionable in terms of character, and karma was the nemesis of all sorts of evil spirits. Night Sorrow's talent was also more outstanding than Ao Qingwu's, and he could easily fight above his cultivation level. Hence, he had given the Genesis essence of heaven and earth originally prepared for Ao Qingwu to Night Sorrow to change his body, allowing him to obtain one of the greatest opportunities in the endless bone region. As for giving Jing Yun the opportunity, he had not done it casually. Jing Yun's bloodline talent was extremely outstanding, and her cultivation was also very high. It was just that her body tempering talent was slightly lacking. He had given her the opportunity to improve her body tempering ability. It had also brought her another great opportunity. At the same time, he had considered the future of High Bay City. If she returned to High Bay City, she would be much stronger than in the Endless Bone region. Wu Xian, the Divine King, is actually such an ungrateful person. Night Sorrow sighed as he thought of Wu Xian, who was revered by everyone in High Bay City. Ao Qingwu stood where she was without saying anything. She was still digesting everything Mo Yuqian had said. Wu Xian took away the most important opportunity in the Endless Bone region, but did not bear the responsibility he should have. I can only place my hopes on you guys. Mo Yuqian's expression was clearly a little gloomy. However, this is very unfair to you guys. Because Wu Xian took away that item, you guys will only have a slim chance of survival if you enter the darkness region. How can we kill the heavily injured Dark Demon Divine Lord? Night Sorrow did not say whether he would go or not, and directly asked for the details. Ao Qingwu still did not speak. Although Dark Demon Divine Lord is heavily injured, the only thing that can kill him is the Sun Devourer Bao. You guys will not be able to kill him no matter what. Mo Yuqian explained and continued. Now that we are in the darkness region, what we need to do is strengthen Dark Demon Divine Lord's seal. However, there are many high god evil creatures in the darkness region, and it is very dangerous. Senior Qingwu is willing to go. However, Qingwu does not want to enter the darkness region with him. He is not worthy to travel with me. At this moment, Ao Qingwu, who had been silent all this while suddenly spoke. She was still brooding over what had happened in the past. She didn't do anything to Night Sorrow because of Mo Qianqian. After all, he was her savior and had given her a great opportunity. Upon hearing Ao Qingwu's words, Night Sorrow thought to himself that there was really nothing likable about this person. She was blindly arrogant and could not see the road ahead clearly. He was a typical example of someone who had high standards but little ability. If you go alone, it's no different from throwing your life away. As soon as I entered the sinkhole, I encountered 3 high celestial furless monsters. Night Sorrow said coldly, "Your strength is not as good as mine. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to sneak 30,000 miles. If not for that, how could you have been controlled the last time?" Just like Ao Qingwu, he didn't want to work together with the other party. However, Night Sorrow knew that it would be difficult for him to do this alone, so he didn't make a fuss about it. Now that Ao Qingwu had spoken, he also retorted, "Brother Night Sorrow is right. It's impossible for you to complete this mission with your own strength. Moreover, even if you and Night Sorrow work together, it would still be difficult for you to complete this mission." Mo Qianqian looked at the two of them and said, "I'm very happy that the two of you are willing to go. However, you need someone's help." "Whose help do we need? Is it Fengling? I won't work with him even if I die in battle." Upon hearing this, Ao Qingwu's expression turned even worse. She hated Night Sorrow and hated Fengling. According to her analysis, in the Endless Bone region, other than her and Night Sorrow, only Fengling had the strength to participate in this mission. Anyone else would be courting death. "I'm very worried about working with an idiot like you. The person you're talking about must be Jing Yin." Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Mo Qianqian had just mentioned that he would give the opportunity to him, Ao Qingwu, and Jing Yin. It was obvious that Jing Yin was the other key person. If it was Fengling, Mo Qianqian would have given the opportunity to him long ago. However, Ao Qingwu mentioned him immediately. This was a little ridiculous. Jing Yin? What's her strength? I've never heard of an expert called Jing Yin in the Endless Bone region. Jing Hong is not bad, but he's already dead. Ao Qinggu said faintly. Night Sorrow is right. The person who will go with you is Jing Yin. Although she's not strong, she can play a very important role. At this point, Mo Qianqian frowned and said, however, she needs to get through the calamity in front of her first. Or rather, it's an opportunity. As for Feng Ling, his character is not good enough, and his talent is not enough. I know the calamity. It's from Feng Ling. Why do you say it's an opportunity? Night Sorrow did not understand this at all. I don't have time to say more about this. If you want to save her, you have to go and help now. Otherwise, even if she gets the opportunity, it will probably end in tragedy. As for me, I can't attack cultivators, Mo Qianqian said. It was obvious that Jing Yin was in danger now. You're saying that Jing Yin is in danger now? Night Sorrow immediately looked at Mo Qianqian anxiously. He did not want anything to happen to any of his friends. Feng Ling's plan has already started. It'll be too late if you don't go now. Mo Qianqian said to Night Sorrow, then looked at Ao Qinggu and said, to resist foreign aggression, we must first stabilize the internal situation. Feng Ling is vicious and must be eliminated. You go and help. Oh. Ao Qinggu responded unwillingly. She was very unwilling to cooperate with Night Sorrow. How did such a person become a legend? Night Sorrow's impression of Ao Qinggu was getting worse and worse. However, he did not care too much about it. He directly left the cultivation room on the top floor and appeared at Feng Ling's hiding place. At this moment, Feng Yi, who had already cultivated to the high god level of body refinement, was guarding outside the cultivation room with a beaming face. He felt carefree after breaking through to the high god level of body refinement in such a short time. If he did not need to help Feng Ling, he would have walked outside the bone pagoda to show off his strength. It's you. You really dare to come and cause trouble. Are you tired of living? Seeing Night Sorrow, who was only at the middle-level feather god level of body refinement, appear, Feng Yi, who had reached a new level, had obvious disdain in his eyes. Although Night Sorrow had broken many records in Feng Yi's eyes, that did not prove anything at all. A high god of body refinement was the most powerful person in the Endless Bone region. Nothing else mattered. You think you're worthy of saying that? Should I say that you overestimate yourself or that you're short-sighted? Feng Yi had just become a high god of body refinement, and was not worthy of Night Sorrow's attention at all. He wanted to attack after saying that. However, Feng Yi's expression changed drastically. He saw Ao Qinggu slowly approaching from behind. Ao Qinggu's aura was that of a true high god of body refinement, and was much stronger than Feng Yi's. Don't be afraid. If you want to kill Night Sorrow, I won't help you. I'll give you a fair chance to fight. In response, Ao Qinggu explained immediately. Idiot. Seeing Ao Qinggu's reaction, Night Sorrow scolded her for being an idiot. Ao Qinggu's friends were killed by Feng Ling's men, and Feng Yi must have been involved. At this time, she did not rush forward to take revenge, but pointed the blame at him. How brainless was she? There was no logic to speak of at all. What did you say? Ao Qinggu, who was scolded, glared at him. I said that you're an idiot and an idiot. I really don't know how you cultivated to your current strength. If you still throw a tantrum after we enter the dark shadow domain, I will kill you immediately. Night Sorrow said coldly as he looked at Ao Qinggu. You want to kill me? Dream on. Ao Qinggu was furious and the aura around her became several times colder. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Feng Yi, you've seen enough. Do it. Night Sorrow was angry because of Ao Qinggu for no reason, and was ready to vent his anger on Feng Yi. Chapter 2440. For the sake of the Sir Divine Lord, I won't kill you, but I will teach you a lesson. But at this moment, Ao Qinggu moved closer, preparing to attack Yishang to teach him a lesson. Her behavior was very disgusting. Ao Qinggu, do you know the purpose of my trip? Night Sorrow asked coldly. Of course I know. However, you caused me to delay for 3,000 years and I lost all my friends. If you want to save your friends today, you have to go through me. This is the cycle of karma. Ao Qinggu said with a hint of mockery. In the end, she just wanted to make things difficult for Yi Shang. Good. Very good. You are very good. Very good. Ao Qinggu had tried to kill him several times, but Night Sorrow had temporarily let it go for Mo Qianqian's sake. At this moment, he was in a hurry to save Jing Yun, but she tried to stop him. She was asking for death. Yi Shang said good a few times in a row and said coldly, I won't take the initiative to attack you today. However, I am in a hurry to save Jing Yun. If you dare to stop me, I will kill you. There will be no reconciliation. Night Sorrow hated people like Ao Qinggu who didn't know what was important. At this moment he had made up his mind. If she continued to provoke him, he would kill her. The most important thing for Night Sorrow now was to save Jing Yun. Whoever tried to stop him would die. There was no reconciliation. His family and friends were his scales of wrath, and no one could touch them. You want to kill me? Then I will fulfill your wish. Let's fight. At this moment, Ao Qingwu's hands turned into 2 dragon claws and attacked Night Sorrow fiercely. In this regard, Feng Yi was dumbstruck as he watched from the side. He thought in his heart, these 2 people came together, so why did they start fighting? However, he was happy to be at ease, and watched the show with a smile on his face. Now that Feng Yi was a body-tempering superior god, he felt that he was the highest existence in the Endless Bone region, and had more courage. You are courting death. After Night Sorrow had achieved something, he was no longer easily angered. However, at this moment, he was completely enraged by Ao Qinggu. He took down the 1,000-kilogram demon-subduing spear from his back, and unleashed the forbidden 10 spear strikes that he had recently comprehended. 10 spear shadows with extremely powerful auras met Ao Qingwu's dragon claws, and attacked at lightning speed. Boom! As the 2 of them collided, Ao Qingwu was directly sent flying. There were several wounds on her chest, and every spear strike brought out flesh and blood. The power of Night Sorrow's furious attack was no small matter. At the same time, Ao Qingwu, who had made the first move, was attacked by lightning. The area where the fight took place was not in the cultivation room, but in the corridor of the sky-reaching bone pagoda. The attack was not particularly fierce, but it put her in a very difficult situation. I've underestimated you, but don't think that you've won. I will definitely kill you today. Ao Qingwu, who had been sent flying by Yi Shang, was immediately enraged. He immediately used his secret technique to increase his strength by several times and attack Night Sorrow again. She felt that he had succeeded because she was careless. Now, she had used all her strength. This was already a desperate attitude, but she did not use her most powerful trump card directly. I think there is something wrong with your brain. Night Sorrow, who was completely enraged, saw Ao Qinggu attacking with all her strength. He immediately used his essence Chi Smoke, Power of Merit, and Star's Mighty Body. With these enhancements, he used the Forbidden Spear Strike that condensed the power together. This time, the Forbidden Spear Strike combined the power of 10 spears, and its power was extremely terrifying. The tip of the spear drew a streak of light, and went straight for Ao Qingwu's throat. This time, he did not choose to fight head-on, but wanted to kill directly. She attacked in such a dangerous situation. No matter what she said, it was unforgivable. Real Dragon Bloodline. Activate. Seeing that the situation was not right, and that she could not withstand Night Sorrow's attack, Ao Qingwu immediately activated her Real Dragon Bloodline. Even so, Ao Qingwu's neck was pierced by the spear. However, she was a superior god of body tempering, and her body was very strong. Moreover, she had activated her Real Dragon Bloodline, so the spear did not pierce through. You activated your Real Dragon Bloodline for this attack. How are you going to block the next attack? Night Sorrow, who had succeeded in one attack, was very experienced in battle. After gaining the upper hand, he continued to attack and completely suppressed Ao Qingwu. At this point, Ao Qingwu was a little confused. She realized that she could no longer suppress Night Sorrow with her strength. The key was Night Sorrow's Power of Merit, and the spear technique that was much more terrifying than before. These were simply heaven-defying in the Endless Bone territory, and she lost the confidence to fight back. I am actually not as good as him. Ao Qingwu, who had been continuously attacked by the lightning, was already in a sorry state. After being continuously attacked by the 1,000-kilogram demon subduing spear, she quickly lost the ability to fight back. She realized that even if she activated her real dragon bloodline, she could not withstand Night Sorrow's attacks. She could not help but be confused. Go to hell. Ao Qinggu, the former powerhouse. Suddenly Feng Yi, who was watching the show, suddenly raised the long sword in his hand and slashed toward Ao Qinggu's head. At this point, Ao Qinggu was in a very sorry state. She no longer had the ability to block this attack. Shameless scoundrel, this is not a battle that you can participate in. Ao Qinggu had no ability to fight back at all, but Night Sorrow gave up on continuing to attack her. He directly attacked Feng Yi with his forbidden spear. Feng Yi, who had focused all his attention on Ao Qinggu, had just advanced to the superior god level. How could he block this attack? In an instant he was turned into ashes. He had cultivated to the superior god level, but he was killed instantly after just one attack. It was really tragic. You actually saved me. Ao Qinggu, who was saved, was obviously stunned. At the same time, she did not expect Night Sorrow to be so powerful that he could kill a superior god with one attack. This was something that she could not do no matter what. I didn't save you. I just couldn't be bothered to kill you in a 2-on-1 battle. I said, if you continue to pester me, I'll kill you. As he said this coldly, Night Sorrow raised his hand and fired a shot. At the same time, a female cultivator's wail was heard in the cultivation room. The wail was very painful and had changed its tone. However, Night Sorrow could tell that it was definitely Jing Yun. What kind of pain did a cultivator go through to be able to let out such a wail? Hearing this, Night Sorrow's heart ached. He no longer cared about Ao Qinggu and sent her flying. He turned to look at the door of the cultivation room. After gathering his strength for a moment, he sent a kick forward. With a boom, the heavy black iron door was kicked open. After attacking the door of the cultivation room, the superior god-level lightning quickly blasted toward Night Sorrow. However, in the face of the terrifying lightning, Night Sorrow was not in the mood to care. At this moment, Feng Ling had already taken Jing Yun's bloodline, and had a look of enjoyment on his face. Meanwhile, Jing Yun was lying on the ground on the verge of death. There was no trace of blood on her face. After her most important true phoenix bloodline was taken, her life was coming to an end. She did not have much time left to live. I'm late. Night Sorrow, who was resisting the lightning, had tears in his eyes. His heart ached. He wanted to carry Jing Yun, who was unable to get up, but he was afraid that she would be attacked by the lightning. He could only stand far away. It's not your fault. This is my fate. I have to go through this fate. Jing Yun was very weak. Night Sorrow had never seen such a weak cultivator. However, there was nothing he could do. Chapter 2441. Night Sorrow. Can you hug me? I'm so cold. I'm really so cold. Jing Yun's face was completely pale. Her originally black hair had already turned white, as if she had aged billions of times in an instant. She looked so weak that it was as if she would completely leave this world with just a raise of her hand. The flames around her body also became weaker and weaker. They could only cover her body and no longer gave off any heat. She looked completely like a lamp that had run out of oil. But the lightning that attacked me will hurt you. Night Sorrow, who was about to go crazy and kill Ao Qinggu and Feng Ling, temporarily suppressed his anger and replied gently. He was furious and wanted to kill, but he still went to Jing Yun first. However, he did not carry her, afraid that the lightning would hurt her. TSK. It's really a good show where the romance between a man and a woman is long and the hero is short. Feng Ling, who was handsome but had a hint of evilness in his eyes, looked at Night Sorrow and Jing Yun with disdain, then turned and left with a smile. At this moment, he had just taken Jing Yun's bloodline, and was not suitable for battle. Seeing that Night Sorrow ignored him, he used this opportunity to escape from the cultivation room. Now that he had taken the true Phoenix bloodline, and solved the bloodline problem that had troubled him for many years, Feng Ling was in high spirits. I'll let you be free for a while. After this is over, I'll come and take your life. Night Sorrow naturally would not let go of a scourge like Feng Ling. However, to him, his friends were obviously more important than revenge. He looked at Jing-Yun with pity. Jing-Yun, who was lying on the ground, looked up at Night Sorrow and forced a smile. I'm already like this. Why should I be afraid of lightning? Even if it's an attack from the Divine King or the ruler, I'm not afraid. Night Sorrow, who had never experienced life and death, felt indescribable. He felt that he was in so much pain that he could not breathe. Withstanding the pressure of the lightning, he hugged Jing-Yun in his arms. The corners of his eyes were wet. Jing-Yun, who was in Night Sorrow's arms, showed a gratified smile. However, she was quickly attacked by the lightning. Not long after, the flames on his body completely disappeared, and his life aura became weaker and weaker. In the end, she completely lost her sense of existence and aura, and her life came to an end. Everything happened too quickly and too suddenly. Jing-Yun. In his arms, Jing-Yun's fingers gradually drooped down. Night Sorrow murmured. He still had many things he wanted to say, but at this moment he couldn't say anything. Recalling everything that had happened between the two of them after they met, she felt an inexplicable sadness. Although they hadn't interacted much, Night Sorrow had a good impression of Jing-Yun. He felt that she had a good personality and gave people a comfortable and gentle feeling. If I had come earlier, things wouldn't have turned out like this. At this moment, Night Sorrow was feeling very bad. His heart was filled with boundless regret and self-blame. If he hadn't used 30 years to recover, how could things have developed to this point? Why did it have to be this little bit of time? Night Sorrow bit his lips and hammered the ground unwillingly. He really felt regretful. Ever since he left Bamboo Garden Village and started cultivating, this was the first time he had experienced the shock of losing a friend. Does the realm of the gods have to be so cruel? Night Sorrow roared in his heart. His determination to become stronger became even stronger. If one wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to protect the people around them. This was an eternal and bloody truth. Boom. Boom. Endless thunderbolts continued to bombard his and Jing-Yun's bodies. How could this be? Suddenly, Night Sorrow realized that Jing-Yun's body, which had lost the flames, didn't disappear under the bombardment of the thunderbolts. Instead, it gradually produced a trace of luster. It was as if she had absorbed the power of the thunderbolts and used it to increase the strength of her body. Jing-Yun is dead. How could such a change happen? Without any signs of life, Jing-Yun was undoubtedly dead. Night Sorrow couldn't help but feel puzzled about this. Although he had seen or heard of all kinds of strange things after cultivating for so long, this was the first time that Night Sorrow saw a dead person refining their body. Jing-Yun wouldn't have turned into a strange creature, right? Night Sorrow couldn't feel Jing-Yun's soul at all. He couldn't help but worry that she would turn into a zombie or something. What's going on? The strength of Jing-Yun's body has increased so quickly. While holding Jing-Yun's body and bathing in the thunderbolts, Night Sorrow realized that the strength of her body quickly increased from the half-step upper god realm to the upper god realm. This speed of improvement was simply unheard of. As the strength of her body increased, Jing-Yun's originally dull body gradually emitted a luster. As time passed, her lifeless body began to become sparkling and translucent, as if she had turned into a sparkling and translucent white jade. Her white hair also gradually turned black, and it was extremely glossy. Her vitality has become so strong. Is she going to recover? In the world of cultivators, anything could happen. Seeing that Jing-Yun's body gradually became full of vitality, and then developed into a full of vitality, it was completely different from the aura of death. Yishang's brows immediately relaxed. His heart was filled with excitement and agitation. Bathed in the thunderbolts, although Jing-Yun's body was naked, she gave people a sense of holiness and couldn't have any thoughts of blasphemy. Her aura continued to increase. Later, the strength of her body continued to increase. According to Night Sorrow's estimation, she had already surpassed Ao Qinggu. Her body has undergone such changes after losing the power of her bloodline. Could this be the opportunity that brother was talking about? Seeing all the changes in Jing-Yun, Night Sorrow, who was resisting the thunderbolts, thought to himself and analyzed the possibilities of the matter. In any case, he was happy to see such changes. How could this be? However, at this moment, Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with worry. The aura of Jingyun's body was still increasing. In the end, she might have absorbed too much energy and exceeded the capacity of her body. Gradually, cracks appeared on the surface of her body. These cracks gradually spread and looked very terrifying. Faced with such a sudden change, Night Sorrow was helpless. He could only carry Jingyun out of the cultivation room, and then leave the Skybone Pagoda to prevent her from being attacked by the thunderbolts again. However, the thunderclouds that attacked them from the Skybone Pagoda chased after them, and continued to attack the two of them. How could this be? Didn't they say that once we leave the Skybone Pagoda, we won't be attacked by the thunderbolts anymore? The thunderbolts that continued to attack the two of them didn't weaken at all. Instead, they became even more ferocious. In the end, there were even middle-level great deities. Even Night Sorrow couldn't withstand it. Needless to say, Jingyun's body was bathed in the thunderbolts and was quickly broken into pieces. It was very miserable. Jingyun, damn thunderbolts, quickly disperse. Seeing that Jingyun's body was broken into pieces and the vitality that was originally produced was also dissipating bit by bit, Night Sorrow roared in anger. However, the thunderbolts didn't stop and continued to attack the two of them. Most of them bombarded Jingyun's broken body and directly turned it into dust. In the end, there was no trace of her left in the world. Not even a speck of dust was left. Only Night Sorrow stood between the heavens and the earth, staring blankly at the thunderbolts above his head. How could this be? She clearly produced vitality, so why? Night Sorrow was speechless. He had endless doubts in his heart, but no one could say anything. He had been happy just a moment ago, but now he was suffering another blow. This was too cruel. Even if Night Sorrow's heart was like a boulder that couldn't be moved by wind, it was still very difficult for him to bear. Screech. At that moment, the thunderbolts in the sky suddenly let out a high-pitched screech. Then, a flame full of vitality completely burned in the thunderbolts, dyeing the entire sky red. Could it be that Jingyun isn't dead? Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat when he heard the bird screech. He knew that the Phoenix clan was very special, so he stood in place and observed. The latter's flames completely burned, burning the entire sky. Screech. After burning for a total of 49 years, a phoenix cry came from the sky once again. A huge phoenix bathed in flames spun its body and soared into the sky. Its aura was so grand that it seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. Chapter 2442. Annihilation in the Lightning, Nirvana in the Lightning. Jingyun finally made it through. Mo Yuqian appeared behind Night Sorrow. He looked at the sky and preached with a hint of relief. Brother, do you know what happened? Night Sorrow looked at Mo Yuqian. He naturally knew that Jingyun had been reborn, but he couldn't figure out the details. Of course I know. This is also the reason why I didn't ask you to save her in time. Mo Yuqian nodded and explained. Her bloodline was stolen. This is naturally a tragedy. However, the Phoenix race is very special. They have at least one chance to be reborn. Now that Jingyun has been reborn, her body will directly advance to the body refinement high god level. The reawakened bloodline will also be much stronger than the one Fengling took. It will be second only to the ancestral Phoenix bloodline. Her future path would be a smooth one. If nothing goes wrong, it won't be a problem for her to advance to the Divine King level. So Jingyun has benefited from this disaster? Not only has her body improved greatly, but even her bloodline talent has improved again? This is a good thing. Hearing Mo Yuqian's explanation, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. He was truly happy for his friend. Not only did Jingyun not die, but her strength had also improved greatly. This was definitely a pleasant surprise for him. Although the process was very painful, she succeeded in the end. Come, let's drink some wine to celebrate. Mo Yuqian smiled and took out the Tao Comprehension wine. This time he directly handed a wine gourd to Night Sorrow and said, "This is the last pot of Tao Comprehension wine. I'll give it to you." Brother, this is too precious. I can't accept it. Night Sorrow heard that it was the last pot and hurriedly declined. Take it. Now that Fengling and Ao Qinggu have left the Endless Bone region, I can only beg you and Jingyun to do that thing. The dark region is very dangerous. You will definitely die in this trip. However, for the people of High Bay City, I can only be thick-skinned and beg you." Although he had already become an artifact spirit, Mo Yoqian's eyes were still a little dim. He was a little disappointed. Wu Xian was a typical ungrateful villain, needless to say. Mo Yuqian was disappointed in Ao Qinggu. He did not expect her to be so ignorant as to stop Night Sorrow and leave the Endless Bone Realm through the Challenge Tower after her defeat. She did not even say goodbye to him. Now that he had asked Night Sorrow and Jing Yun to complete this mission, it seemed like he was forcing them, but he had no other choice. Because the resources in the Endless Bone Realm had been almost depleted, it could not nurture any more experts. Furthermore, Darkfiend's Celestial Lord had completely broken free from the seal, and would not take too long to fully recover. There was not enough time to nurture more experts. "Brother, don't say that. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda. For the sake of so many cultivators in High Bay City, I, Night Sorrow, am willing to take this risk. Since that's the case, I won't reject the Tao Comprehension Wine." Night Sorrow also understood that the dark dimension was very dangerous, and there were evil creatures everywhere that could corrode souls. The Tao Comprehension Wine could ensure the clarity of one's soul, which was extremely important for this trip. After receiving the wine gourd, Night Sorrow raised his head and drank a mouthful. He praised, "This is really good wine." After drinking it, his soul became much clearer, and his comprehension increased by a lot. "Haha, good wine deserves a hero." Mo Yuqian laughed. At this moment, the fire phoenix circling in the sky turned into a human figure and flew in front of the two of them. "Thank you for saving my life, Master." Jing Yun was wearing a set of armor formed by flames. The armor flickered with lightning constantly, looking very dazzling. She flew to the two of them, smiled at Night Sorrow, and then knelt down to Mo Yuqian. In fact, after being captured by Feng Ling, Jing Yun's heart had been filled with despair. It was Mo Yuqian who had appeared and analyzed the situation for her. Only then did Jing Yun understand that her bloodline being snatched was actually a great opportunity for her. As long as her will to live was strong enough, she would be reborn and become stronger. Now, not only did she become a body-tempering immortal after being resurrected, her bloodline talent was also close to perfection. Jing Yun was very grateful for Mo Yoqian's reminder. "Haha, there's no need to call me Master. You and Night Sorrow can just call me Elder Brother. I'm just doing what a senior should do." Mo Yuqian smiled and helped Jing Yun up. He continued, "Now not only do you control the power of fire, but you can also control the power of lightning. These two powers are the bane of evil. It is Night Sorrow's fortune to have you as a helper on this trip." Before this, Mo Yuqian had already told Jing Yun about the opportunity and the difficulties that Night Sorrow would face. "Jing Yun will definitely not let you down, Elder Brother." Jing Yun was also a heroine and didn't hesitate too much. She got up and called him Elder Brother. "That's good. Go and meet your friends. Find me at the top floor of the Bone Pagoda in 10 years. A gratified smile appeared on Mo Yoqian's face. He was very satisfied with both Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. Both of them were very talented, and most importantly, they had good characters and a sense of responsibility. They definitely weren't a villain like Wu Xian. "Thank you. If you didn't attract the lightning, I wouldn't have been able to reach Nirvana." Mo Yoqian's figure disappeared. Jing Yun smiled at Night Sorrow and bowed. "I thought I appeared too late. Who knew that everything was within Elder Brother's calculations? Seeing you return safely, I'm very gratified." The smile on Night Sorrow's face wasn't fake at all. He was really happy. "Not one step too early, not one step too late. You came at the right time. This is fate." Jing Yun smiled but frowned. "But there's one thing, what do you say?" "What do you mean?" Night Sorrow was clearly stunned. "You've seen my body more than once." "What do you mean?" "Although I'm from the Phoenix race, I'm no different from a human cultivator. My body was seen, and I was taken advantage of. And you even hugged me." Jing Yun's eyebrows carried a hint of anger, as if she was a little angry. This was all an accident. Night Sorrow couldn't think of the answer to this question for 10,000 years. He could only smile awkwardly. He already had so many wives at home. He didn't want to create any more love debts. I'm just teasing you. Look at how scared you are. Seeing Night Sorrow's awkward expression, Jingyan smiled. Now that I've been reborn, my body's strength has greatly increased. I'm not used to fighting. Let's try this out. What Jingyan said was the truth. She became stronger almost overnight. She definitely wasn't used to her current strength and speed. Alright, I'll fight with you. When you're used to your current realm, we'll go find Yunxia, Holai, and Gengchen. They're very worried about your safety. Night Sorrow knew that Jingyan's words made sense, and this way he could get over the awkwardness. He naturally nodded in agreement. Alright, then take one of my moves. Phoenix Cry of the Nine Heavens. Unlike the other cultivators in the Endless Bone realm, Jingyan directly used a sound wave attack. The high-pitched Phoenix Cry was used at close range. Night Sorrow felt his soul tremble. What a powerful attack. If Night Sorrow's soul wasn't very strong, he might have been defeated by Jingyan in one move. After barely resisting this move, Night Sorrow waved his hand and struck out. After all, this was just a test. He didn't need to use the 1,000-ton demon subduing spear, nor did he use any secret techniques. You don't seem to be my match. Facing Night Sorrow's palm, Jingyan smiled. She waved her hand and struck out with a flaming palm. Night Sorrow was blasted hundreds of miles away. The two of them didn't use any secret techniques. This proved that Jingyan's physical strength had surpassed Night Sorrow's. Impressive. Let's go again. Night Sorrow was very happy for Jingyan after being pushed back by a palm. In the past, Jingyan was so weak that she couldn't even resist the soul-devouring evil wind. She had to rely on his power of merit to enter the array with him. Now she had become a body-refining deity in such a short time. Even he felt ashamed of himself for not being able to improve at such a speed. This time, Night Sorrow activated his vital essence smoke signal, and Star's tyrannical body. His strength had increased significantly. He attacked Jingyan again. The two of them weren't fighting to the death. They were just testing the strength of their strength. Therefore his speed wasn't fast. Good. Then let's go again. Jingyan smiled slyly. When their palms met, she struck out with a scarlet flame. What's going on? Night Sorrow didn't expect that she would suddenly shoot out flames. He was caught off guard and his clothes were completely burned. Now we're even. Seeing Yishang's face full of embarrassment after his clothes were burned, Jingyan smiled beautifully. Chapter 2443. Night Sorrow would never have thought that the gentle Jingyan would do such a naughty thing. He was caught off guard and had his clothes burned. He was so embarrassed that he didn't know what to do. Ha! Just kidding. Look at you. Jingyan chuckled and shot out a flame. The flame turned into a green armor that wrapped around Night Sorrow's body. It freed him from his embarrassment and made him look more heroic. The green armor formed by the flame was different from Jingyan's red armor. It didn't have lightning flashing on it, but it had high defense and didn't need divine yuan qi to protect its owner. It was definitely a rare treasure in the Endless Bone realm. What is this? The armor is very tough. It should be able to withstand the attack of a high god. Yishang asked in surprise. He could sense that the armor was at least as strong as a high god of body refinement. As a member of the Phoenix race, I awakened a powerful bloodline and obtained an ability. I can use the flame to make 2 sets of armor. Mine is the Phoenix armor and yours is the Phoenix armor. It's called the Azure Phoenix armor. Due to my strength, they are only at the level of a low god. Jingyan explained and smiled. 10 years from now, we might have to go to the dark dimension for an adventure. This will help you increase your strength. But this is too precious. I have nothing to repay you with. As the saying goes, one should not accept a reward for nothing. Yishang was very embarrassed to accept such a precious gift from Jingyan for no reason. You don't have to repay me. If you hadn't broken open the door of the cultivation room and attracted the lightning, I wouldn't have been able to reach Nirvana. You saved my life, so I'll give you an armor. It's very fair. Jingyan looked at Night Sorrow and asked, Do you think my life isn't as precious as an armor? No, that's not what I meant. I'll just accept it. Night Sorrow hurriedly denied and said, Let's continue to spar. Let's see what special abilities the other party has. This way, we can understand each other, and it'll be beneficial for our trip to the dark dimension. Yes, that's right. Officially entering the dark domain should be extremely dangerous. It can be said that there is only a slim chance of survival. We have to do our best to increase our strength, so that we can have a chance of returning. Jingyun nodded with a serious look on her face. She had learned from Mo Qianqian that the dark domain had given birth to more than one monarch god. From this, she could estimate that there must be many high gods there. The dark region was the same as the endless bone region. One couldn't use divine essence chi at all. Everything depended on the strength of the body refinement realm, and the various techniques of the body refinement realm. Jingyun's advantage was that she could control the power of fire and thunder. This was a unique talent in the endless bone realm. Furthermore, it could unleash a terrifying sound wave attack. This could be considered a trump card. Alright, let's begin. After getting Jingyun's approval, Night Sorrow said a few words and began to display his skills. He displayed all his abilities apart from the 7 stars berserk. Naturally, not all of his attacks were aimed at Jingyun, but they were enough for her to sense his true strength. Good move. If we were to fight, I'm afraid I would be killed by you. After seeing Night Sorrow's various skills, Jingyun exclaimed in admiration. She knew that Night Sorrow's fighting ability was especially strong, and she was no match for him. However, after Jingyun's demonstration, Night Sorrow realized that her abilities were indeed not weak. The power of fire and thunder were extremely terrifying when used. In the past, Jingyun was much weaker than Night Sorrow. However, after such a short period of time, both of their strengths were about the same. It could be seen that the opportunities she had obtained were not inferior to Night Sorrow's. Let's go and see Yunxia and the others. After both sides understood each other, Jingyun suggested. Alright, I'll lead the way. Night Sorrow naturally agreed. He knew that Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Gengchen were also very worried about Jingyun's safety. After that, the two of them went to the cultivation room where the others were. Seeing that Jingyun had returned in one piece, Zhu Yunxiao immediately shed tears. She gave her a hug and said emotionally, "It's great that you can return in one piece." Was Feng Ling killed by Night Sorrow? She did not know that Jingyun had actually died once. Now that she had returned from Nirvana, she would probably cry even harder if she knew. No. Feng Ling has already escaped from the endless bone region. However, I will personally take revenge this time. He won't be free for a few more years. Thinking of the persecution that Feng Ling had brought to her, a trace of killing intent flashed through Jingyun's watery eyes. She released her sharp aura. Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Gengchen immediately felt her strength. This is the body-tempering strength of a high god. Young mistress, when did you become so strong? Ho Lai immediately asked, dumbfounded. The three of them had once been Jing Hong's subordinates and respected Jingyun very much. However, the Jingyun of the past was definitely a burden. Now that she had become a high god in body tempering, their jaws dropped. Haha, I obtained some opportunities. However, my strength is still a bit weaker than Night Sorrow's. Jingyun glanced at Night Sorrow and said faintly. To anyone, Night Sorrow's strength could be described as abnormal. He was only an intermediate divine feather, but his combat strength was already stronger than most lesser high gods. This kind of person could be compared to the legends. He's an anomaly. Ho Lai admired Night Sorrow's strength even more. There was no need to measure it by body tempering level. Now that Feng Ling and the others have left the endless bone region, the three of you can move freely and increase your strength. Seeing that Ho Lai had brought the topic to himself, Night Sorrow smiled and said confidently, "If nothing unexpected happens, Jingyun and I will be able to take you out of the endless bone region when we return." Really? We can leave this place soon? Gengchen asked excitedly. The three of them really did not want to stay in the endless bone region for another day. When they heard Night Sorrow's words, they immediately jumped for joy. It's true. I'm confident. Night Sorrow said confidently. He could not make the sky-piercing bone tower recognize him as its master, but he knew the rule maker Mo Yuqian. As long as he said a word, they could leave at any time. However, now that Feng Ling had left the Endless Bone region, the three of them would be in danger if they left rashly. It was best to wait for him and Jingyan to return. Of course, he would set a time with Mo Yuqian. If they did not return by the time, he would let them leave. After that, Night Sorrow and Jingyan chatted with Zhu Yunxia and the others for a while. They went to see Mo Yuqian together. 10 years was too long. They did not want to wait. I'm very happy that the two of you have arrived so quickly. Mo Yuqian had originally given them 10 years, but the two of them had arrived in just a few days. This proved that they were very determined. Every day we delay increases the chances of Dark Demon Emperor breaking the seal. We can't waste any time. Now that Night Sorrow had experienced Jingyan's nirvana, he was especially concerned about time. Yes, you're right. You are people who will achieve great things. However, there are many high gods in the dark dimension. There might even be upper gods or half-step divine lords. Going like this is no different from courting death. Mo Yuqian looked at the two of them and said, I will use 1,000 years to change your auras. Back then, I used this method to sneak into the dark dimension, ambush Dark Shadow Divine Lord and kill him. After that, I injured Dark Demon Emperor, and sealed him under the 1,000 Cave Mountain. Change our auras? You want us to disguise ourselves as dark creatures? Night Sorrow had an impression of the hairless dark creatures in the sinkhole. Yes, there is a hairless creature in the dark dimension called the gorillas. Their bodies are very similar to apes. You can transform into them. As for the change of auras, leave it to me. Mo Yuqian nodded and continued, Come with me. There is a special place in the Endless Bone region that can help you do this. However, the prerequisite is that your souls are tough and strong enough to not be corroded by the dark aura. Is that dark aura very scary? Jingyan, who had just experienced nirvana, asked. She was definitely someone with a strong will to be able to undergo nirvana and be reborn. However, she didn't understand the so-called dark aura. That aura is very scary. Even Ao Qinggu, who was once one of the 4 great experts and had successfully become a high god of body refinement, had her soul corroded and she lost control of her body. If it wasn't for some things that happened later, she would have been suppressed forever and become someone's puppet. Night Sorrow, who had been corroded by the dark aura, explained with a solemn expression. The corrosion of his soul back then wasn't very strong, but it made him lose his mind for a while. The corrosion of the dark aura that Ao Qinggu had experienced was obviously stronger than what he had experienced. Although she was later cured by Mo Yuqian, her personality had changed a lot. From this, it could be seen. Chapter 2444. Her soul was suppressed and she lost control of her body. She became a puppet controlled by the dark creature? That aura is so terrifying. Jingyan knew Night Sorrow's character well. He would never exaggerate. If even he said it was terrifying, then it must be extremely terrifying. She felt a chill run down her spine. It's more terrifying than I imagined. You must not be controlled by that aura. It's like a maggot in your bones. If you can't get rid of it completely, you'll be affected even if you treat it. Mo Yuqian sighed. If I'm not wrong, Qingwu's personality has changed greatly even though she was successfully treated. She wasn't like this in the past. In the past, Ao Qingwu was incomparably beautiful. Although she had a cold personality and was somewhat arrogant, there was absolutely no problem with her character and character. Otherwise, Mo Yuqian would not have groomed her as his successor after suffering an unintentional blow. When Night Sorrow met her for the first time, he saw her crying for her friend. She must have been someone who valued relationships. But now her personality was strange. She must have been affected by the dark aura. She had already left the Endless Bone region, and no one knew what the future held. I see. Then there's a big problem. Hearing Mo Yuqian's words, Night Sorrow also felt that something was wrong. Ao Qingwu was indeed very different from when they first met. She must have been affected by the dark aura. He could not help but worry. He was afraid that Ao Qingwu's personality would continue to change and cause trouble in Haibei City. She was a lower-level superior god. Even if she did not use her divine yuan qi and soul power, she could still pose a threat to most cultivators in Haibei City. Perhaps only the 5 high gods would be able to fight against it. Sigh. Now we can only take one step at a time. Mo Yuqian looked at Night Sorrow and said, Dark Demon Divine Emperor is a bigger threat. Let's deal with him first. Okay, that's all we can do. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the time rules of the Dark Domain were the same as the Endless Bone region. As long as he left the Dark Domain quickly enough, he could return to High Bay City in a month or two. Even if Ao Qingwu's personality changed in a month or two, there should be a limit. She would not completely fall into darkness and cause a fatal blow to High Bay City. The environment I've brought you into is very special. It can taint your bodies with a strong dark aura. In the next 1,000 years, you need to maintain a clear soul and learn how to control this aura. If you master it well, you can control the weaker dark creatures in the dark sector and get the information you need. Night Sorrow's tenacity didn't need much to be said. Jingyun's soul was just as tenacious after her death. Mo Yuqian was very confident in the two. After that, he brought the 2 people left behind by Dalong Taosha into an extremely special cave. This valley was hidden within a black wind pillar. The aura of darkness was very heavy, but there were no dark creatures within. In the following period of time, Night Sorrow and Jingyun transformed into the appearance of a gorilla. While adapting to the changes in their bodies, they gradually got used to the invasion of the dark aura. In the beginning, their movements were very awkward, but as time passed, they got used to it. After all, their bodies were very strong, so doing any movement was not a problem. It just needed a process of getting used to it. After 1,000 years, the 2 of them had completely adapted to fighting in their guises, and could even control the aura of darkness. After everything was ready, Mo Yuqian called the 2 to his side, and handed them a divine talisman. This divine talisman was made by an invincible divine lord. What you need to do is to sneak into the 1,000 Cavern Mountain, and insert the divine talisman into the formation trapping the dark demon. Leave it with me. I can control the shape of my armor at will. It can preserve the divine talisman so that it won't be easily detected. Jingyun took the divine talisman and stored it in her armor. At this time, she had the appearance of a hairless gorilla. Her body looked very pale and was full of dark aura. In fact, she was wearing armor. Night Sorrow was in the same situation. However, he couldn't control the armor at will, so it wasn't easy to preserve the divine talisman. He carried the Enlightenment Wine Gourd and 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear on his back. There's one more thing. Brother Night Sorrow, although your 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear is very strong, it's not at the high god level. It's limited help for this trip. My divine artifact, the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear, is a Divine Lord level divine artifact. It was lost near the 1,000 Cavern Mountain in the Dark Domain. You can try to find it. However, you have to learn the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear art to be recognized by the artifact spirit. Mo Yuqian was also a spear expert in the past. After he finished speaking, he began to practice the spear art for Night Sorrow. The Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear art had a total of 3 moves. Although Night Sorrow's cultivation talent was astonishing, it still took him a whole 200 years to completely comprehend and use the 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear. If you encounter any danger, immediately abandon the mission and escape. As long as you escape back to the Endless Bone Realm, not a single dark creature will be able to pursue you. Compared to this mission, I'm more optimistic about your future. However, there's really nothing useful in the Endless Bone Realm right now that can help you increase your strength. Mo Yuqian muttered. If you encounter an opponent that you can't fight against, you can choose to use the Divine Talisman. It's equivalent to a full-powered attack from a half-step Divine King. Only a high-level Divine Lord can barely block it. Even a mid-level Divine Lord would be directly killed. There was a trace of helplessness in his words. If not for Wu Xian back then, Night Sorrow and Jingyun's strength would have increased by a large margin. Not only did Wu Xian consume a large amount of cultivation resources and take away the Sun Devourer Divine Bow, but he also took away several powerful divine talismans. Brother, you don't have to blame yourself. Protecting High Bay City isn't your job alone. You've already done enough. Leave the rest to us. Night Sorrow, who knew what Mo Yuqian was thinking, hurriedly comforted him. If not for Mo Yuqian, Haibei City might have been conquered by the dark apparitions long ago. If that was the case, after Night Sorrow ascended, his entire family might have had their souls corroded. Now it was time for Mo Yuqian to pay the price. However, Mo Yuqian's words also increased the pressure on Night Sorrow. This divine talisman was so powerful that it was equivalent to a half-step Divine King's attack, but it could only be used to strengthen the seal. This proved that the Dark Demon Divine Lord was at least as strong as a high-level Divine Lord. This mission was very dangerous, so dangerous that he couldn't afford to think too much about it. He could only brace himself and do it. Even if we risk our lives, we will stabilize the seal. Jingyun's face was resolute. Her feelings for Haibei City were even more important than Night Sorrow's. Her family had once had deep roots in Haibei City, but they had been uprooted by their enemies. Then I'll leave it to the two of you. Mo Yuqian solemnly bowed to Night Sorrow and Jingyun. Only he knew how difficult this mission was. With the strength of the two of them, this was simply an impossible task. Brother, you don't have to do this. Night Sorrow and Jingyun moved at the same time, and hurriedly helped Mo Yuqian up. As a predecessor, Mo Yuqian had fought until his body collapsed and became an artifact spirit, but he still planned for the future of Haibei City. Such boldness made the two of them revere him. How could they accept such a big bow from him? Are you ready? Then they came in front of the Black Wind Pillar. Night Sorrow glanced at Jingyun and asked. Yes, I'm ready for anything. Jingyun nodded seriously. This time, they would have a slim chance of survival. She had thought of all the possibilities. Brother, we're going in. Chapter 2445. Take care. Remember to ensure your own safety. The skinny Mo Qianqian watched as the two figures disappeared into the Black Wind Pillar. His face was full of worry. He had given everything he had for Haibei City. Now he could only place his hopes on Night Sorrow and Jingyun. There was more than one Black Wind Pillar. Night Sorrow chose the one that Ao Qinggu led him to last time. After Mo Qianqian's explanation, he learned that the dark sinkhole was actually the entrance to the dark precinct. The skeletons that kept appearing were born in the dark precinct. Their mission was to use their bodies to consume the energy of the endless bone realm. After some years, the power of the endless bone realm suppressing the dark precinct would loosen. Then, many dark creatures would be able to return to Haibei City. This world gives me an extremely oppressive feeling. It makes me very uncomfortable. Following Night Sorrow into the dark sinkhole, Jingyun frowned. Not only was there an evil dark aura, there was also a strong aura of death. The aura here was even more evil than the cave they had stayed in for thousands of years. This caused her soul to suffer an extremely heavy impact, and she felt an urge to kill. It felt as if there was something in the bottom of her heart that incited her to kill. Before officially entering the dark precinct, she already had such a feeling. This made Jingyun very worried about this trip. Don't think too much. This kind of place tests a cultivator's mind the most. If you let your imagination run wild, the consequences will be very terrifying. You need to be as calm as still water to be able to move forward. Night Sorrow gently patted Jingyun's shoulder and continued. You just need a process of adaptation. If we walk for a while, we might have to face our first battle. Be prepared. The last time they entered the dark sinkhole, Night Sorrow had encountered 3 Supreme Deity stage gorillas after walking for 30,000 miles. Now he wanted to use the dark aura to control one of them and learn their language and habits. At the same time, he could also have a preliminary understanding of the dark precinct. As for the aura in the sinkhole, Night Sorrow, who had been here before, was much more accustomed to it. Moreover, he had experienced too much since he started cultivating. His mind was tougher than Jingyun's. Okay, I will try my best to adapt and not be a burden. You have to have confidence in me. After all, Jingyun had never done such a thing before. She was still a little nervous, but this was normal. Seeing the determination in Night Sorrow's eyes, her nervous mood gradually calmed down. Don't be afraid. In the first battle, you will support me and see how I deal with them. If nothing unexpected happened, they would encounter the 2 gorillas from last time. Night Sorrow thought that the opportunity for revenge had come. Although he couldn't use his power of virtue, he had already adapted to this environment after 1,000 years of tempering. This was another manifestation of his combat talent. Last time, when they encountered 3 gorillas, Night Sorrow used all his strength to kill the strongest one. However, he was almost killed by the other 2 beasts. If Ao Qinggu, who was controlled by hidden fury, had not appeared, he might have been killed. Now that he had returned to the sinkhole, he naturally wanted to take revenge. Gurgle, gurgle. In the dark sinkhole, the rubble that had been knocked down by the previous battle had already disappeared. All kinds of skeletons were still moving forward without any intelligence. As the dark aura on Night Sorrow and Jingyan was very strong, the skeletons didn't pay any attention to them. The 2 of them used the gorillas to climb into the sinkhole. After walking for about 20,000 miles, they suddenly heard a roar coming from the depths. They looked at each other and walked towards the direction of the sound. Soon, Night Sorrow saw a pale, hairless gorilla hanging on the stone wall not far away. It was the gorilla that first discovered Night Sorrow and Jingyan, which was why it roared. Hee, we meet again. Night Sorrow knew that the gorilla was roaring because it was using the gorilla's unique method to communicate. He didn't understand the meaning of the gorilla's roar at all. He sneered in his heart and quickly ran over. This gorilla was the one that had tried to sneak an attack on him but failed. It had just reached the god realm of body refinement, and wasn't very strong. Roar. Seeing Night Sorrow rushing over aggressively, the hairless gorilla hanging upside down on the stone wall let out a hurried roar. Roar. Although Night Sorrow didn't understand the language of the gorilla, he understood that it was issuing a warning. He imitated the gorilla's actions and roared even more ferociously. He jumped up high and rushed towards the gorilla. Night Sorrow had fought with this kind of gorilla before. He was very clear about their fighting habits and imitated their movements. Jingyan was a little sluggish when she saw this. If she didn't come with him, she would even think that Night Sorrow was the real gorilla. Boom. The gorilla hanging upside down on the stone wall was immediately enraged when it saw a gorilla with similar aura launching an attack for no reason. It jumped to the ground and madly ran towards Night Sorrow. Dark creatures were heavily influenced by the dark aura. They were extremely violent and had a strong sense of territory. Good timing. Facing the gorilla that was madly running towards him, Night Sorrow started a wild battle with it. This gorilla wasn't strong and wasn't Night Sorrow's opponent at all. Soon it tore off one of its forearms. It was in so much pain that it couldn't stop howling. However, this also stimulated its ferocious nature. It continuously used the dark secret technique, and its strength immediately increased by a large margin. This hairless ape is quite strange. It once ran away after sneaking an attack on me. Now that it encountered its own kind, it chose to fight to the death. After analyzing that this might be the gorilla's racial habit, Night Sorrow thought that it was best if it didn't run away. It would be easier for him to use the dark aura to control its soul later. He used the star's tyrant body, and similarly increased his strength to continue suppressing the gorilla. Soon, this battle without any suspense came to an end. The gorilla that was continuously attacked had completely lost its ability to fight. Jingyan, watch it. If there is no accident, there should be another gorilla nearby. I will deal with it and come back to use the dark aura to try to control its soul. This gorilla is relatively weak and is the most suitable target. The last time he entered the heaven pit, Night Sorrow was ambushed and bombarded into the stone wall. That gorilla wasn't weak. If there was no accident, it should be close by. In order to prevent it from ambushing and interrupting the soul control, Night Sorrow was prepared to kill it first. However, as he walked deeper into the heaven pit, the soul-devouring evil wind suddenly became stronger. The blocking of perception became quite serious. The range of perception became closer and closer. Night Sorrow searched for thousands of miles, but didn't find the gorilla. Therefore he turned back again. Let's bring this beast out of the heaven pit, and use the soul control. It's not safe here. After finding Jingyan, Yishan said a few words. Then he picked up the dying hairless ape, and brought it out of the crater. After finding a large flat area, Night Sorrow told Jingyan to pay attention to the surroundings and guard against the sneak attack of the dark creatures. Then he controlled the dark aura to envelop the gorilla that had lost its ability to resist. The backlash of the soul control is so strong. Chapter 2446. Soul control was very special. It was either the east wind suppressing the west wind, or the west wind suppressing the east wind. As long as it was used, one side would definitely be suppressed. What it tested was the toughness of the soul. It seems that using this kind of secret technique isn't too difficult for me. Although his soul suffered a strong backlash, Night Sorrow, who was sitting on the cold ground, raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a smile. He was not afraid of things like testing the soul. Reality quickly proved that the hairless ape was not a threat to Night Sorrow at all. It did not struggle for long before it completely stopped moving. Obviously, it was under control. So the evil spirit that successfully ambushed me last time was killed by a female cultivator. No wonder I couldn't find it. After controlling the hairless ape, Night Sorrow immediately read all of its memories. After muttering a sentence, a figure flashed in his mind. Wasn't the female cultivator, who killed the evil spirit Ao Chinggu? She did not go to Seaside City, but entered the dark domain. What is her goal? Could it be that she wants to completely join the darkness? Night Sorrow could not understand why Ao Chinggu entered the dark domain alone, but he immediately became vigilant. Afterward, he continued to read the ape's memories and gained a certain understanding of the dark domain. This was a world filled with blood and slaughter. Its area was thousands of times larger than the endless bone realm. There were several races of dark creatures. These dark races were constantly killing each other. It was very cruel and bloody. The strongest races were the dark demon race and the dark shadow race that had produced divine monarchs. They each occupied half of the dark Holy Land's Thousand Cavern Mountain. The other races were distributed around the Thousand Cavern Mountain according to their strength. The stronger ones had territories closer to the Thousand Cavern Mountain, while the weaker ones were naturally further away from the central area. The ape race was not even in the top 10 in the dark domain. They were considered to have a very low status. Their race had 30 to 40 deities in charge of guarding the sinkhole's passage. Their territory was just outside the sinkhole. Passing through the other races and reaching the Thousand Cavern Mountain was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This was because Yi Shang had learned from Yen Gui's memories that even the weakest race in the Dark Realm had no less than 10 supreme gods. There were probably over 1,000 deities among the powerful dark races near the Myriad Cavern Mountain. There are so many high gods in the dark domain. No wonder it can produce divine monarchs. But that's not right. Logically speaking, since Haibei City could give birth to 3 monarchs, there should be quite a number of high gods. Why were there only a few left now? Could it be that something happened? Countless years ago, Haibei City was attacked by 3 powerful clans. Although they were no match for them, they were still able to put up a fight. But now, the gap between their strength was like heaven and earth. Night Sorrow, who was deep in thought, couldn't figure it out at all, so he stopped thinking about it. Now that he knew that Haibei City was so much weaker than Darkness Domain, he was even more determined to seal Dark Demon Divine Lord. He thought to himself, if Dark Demon Divine Monarch breaks the seal, he will most likely find a way to break through the Endless Bone Domain's obstruction and attack Haibei City. There were only a handful of deities in Seaside City at the moment. The city would surely be plunged into misery and suffering if the dark race is attacked. But what should I do to get close to the Thousand Cave Mountain and seal the Dark Demon again? Night Sorrow, who was racking his brains for a solution, was frowning. Seeing him like this, Jing Yan, who was standing at the side, asked with a worried expression, "Night Sorrow, are you all right?" "I'm fine. I've successfully read all its memories. The waters of Darkness Domain are very deep. Our journey will be full of difficulties." Night Sorrow cut off the control over the hairless gorilla's soul and killed it. Then he told Jing Yun about Darkness Domain. "This Darkness Domain is actually so terrifying. What should we do?" Hearing Night Sorrow say that there were so many high gods in Darkness Domain, Jing Yun, who was mentally prepared, was still shocked. "In my opinion, we need to first blend into the gorillas and wait for an opportunity," Night Sorrow analyzed. "But can we do it?" After all, they were in disguise, so Jing Yun wasn't confident enough. "It's fine. Our aura is no different from theirs. Moreover, the gorillas are basically born in darkness domain. They don't have parents, so their origins won't be investigated. Next, I'll tell you the unique language of their race and some other things. Time was of the essence. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he taught Jingyun everything he knew. Although Jingyun's comprehension was very high and she had memorized all the history of the gorillas and learned all their language and movements, it still took her close to 100 years. We can officially enter the dark sector now. Follow me closely. Night Sorrow was worried that they had been delayed for over 100 years. He was afraid that it would affect the overall situation. He quickened his pace with Jingyun and re-entered Heaven Pit. This time, in the Heaven Pit where the soul-devouring evil wind was extremely ferocious, Night Sorrow and Jingyun once again encountered a gorilla. Night Sorrow, who had already learned the language of the gorillas, didn't attack. Instead, he communicated with the gorilla and was quickly let go. This gave the two of them a lot of confidence in blending into the gorillas. The total length of Heaven Pit was about 200,000 miles. However, Night Sorrow and Jingyun only met 3 gorillas. Jingyun didn't think much of it. However, Night Sorrow felt that something was amiss. The frequency of this was too low. Could it be that something big has happened to the gorillas and they are unable to send out extra high gods to guard the passage? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that this should be the case. Standing in front of the passage entrance, he instructed, Jingyun, in a while we will enter darkness domain and do our best to blend into the gorillas. This race is very murderous. We can appear stronger. If the situation goes wrong, we will rush back to the endless bone region. They won't be able to enter. Alright, I understand. Jingyun nodded her head with a grave expression. Then the two of them entered darkness domain hand in hand with apprehension. Originally, they were prepared to be interrogated at the first moment, because this was the rule of the gorillas. However, after passing through the passage, they discovered that the gorillas' territory was very chaotic. This was because the leader of the gorillas was gathering his troops. Obviously, a battle was about to break out. This is a rare opportunity. Let's sneak in. The opportunity would not come again. Night Sorrow and Jingyun immediately took advantage of the chaos to blend into the troop of high gods gathered by the gorillas. The process was very smooth. No one stopped them. However, just as the two of them were rejoicing, the leader of the gorillas amid high god pointed at Night Sorrow and cursed, "Bastard, who are you? Why are you here?" "What? I've been discovered? How can this be?" Hearing this cold voice, Night Sorrow was shocked. He felt that his disguise was quite good. There shouldn't be any problems. What should we do? Chapter 2447. The leader of the gorillas was a mid-level high god, slightly stronger than the one Night Sorrow had killed back then. Night Sorrow had the confidence to fight him if he went all out, but the problem now was that there were more than 30 high gods around him. Even if the gorillas were not strong, they were not something he could fight alone. The situation was too dangerous. If he was not careful, he could be torn to pieces. If the situation is not good, I will escape alone. I can't drag Jingyun down. It's not easy to infiltrate the gorillas. I can't let her give up halfway. Yishang's eyes revealed a trace of viciousness as he thought to himself. He was already prepared to attack. He could not win, but he could not sit still and wait for death. Do you want to die? How dare you stand in the group of high gods? Is that where a feather god small fry like you should stand? At this moment, the leader of the gorillas, Yen Kuei, pointed at Night Sorrow and scolded him fiercely. In fact, if it were not for the fact that there were less than 300 of them in the gorillas, he would have attacked immediately. The gorillas had a strict hierarchy, and standing in the wrong place was a serious problem. So this is the problem. I was careless. Night Sorrow had been fighting with high gods recently, and he had subconsciously thought of himself as a high god. But in reality, he was only a mid-level feather god. With the strength of a mid-level feather god, standing in the group of high gods was indeed inappropriate. In the dark precinct, strength determined seniority. Him standing in the group was a provocation to the strong. Little brat, with the strength of a feather god, you dare to stand with us? Ah, Yen Xie. We'll teach you a lesson today. Come out and fight. After the leader of the gorillas, Yen Kuei, finished speaking, a low-level high god gorilla jumped out and pointed at Night Sorrow. The other high god realm gorillas made way for them. Fighting among the dark precinct was too normal. Thank goodness. If my identity was not exposed, I would be in big trouble. The scene in front of her had caught Jingyin off guard. Her heart was beating fast, and she was ready to fight. Seeing a gorilla challenge Night Sorrow, she was obviously relieved. Teach me a lesson? How arrogant. Since I dare to stand here, I naturally have the strength of a high god. Let me teach you a lesson. Night Sorrow rejoiced that his identity had not been exposed. He immediately displayed his berserk strength, and used the language of the demons to provoke them. Night Sorrow's movements and speech were no different from ordinary gorillas. This had a lot to do with his 100 years of practice. You're courting death. I will tear you apart. Night Sorrow's provocative words had completely stirred up Gorilla Evil's ferocious nature. Although gorillas were not allowed to kill each other, there were many cases of them accidentally killing their companions. At this moment, Scarlet Evil's entire body was covered in a dark aura. The fangs protruding from the corners of its mouth gave off a bloodthirsty aura. Its heart of slaughter had already risen. How dare you provoke me? I'll kill you. Yishan roared in an extremely arrogant manner as he faced Xie. Boom! After Night Sorrow roared, the entire group of gorillas became lively. Not a single one of them could defeat a lesser high god at the level of an intermediate feather god. Furthermore, Gorilla Evil was ranked in the top 10 of the gorillas. It was extremely ferocious. Now, a mere intermediate feather god dared to provoke it in front of its entire tribe. This was really unexpected. Roar. You're dead. I'll fight you to the death. Gorillas were creatures born in the dark dimension. They were extremely evil and murderous. Now that Night Sorrow had provoked them, Gorilla Evil completely erupted. Gorilla Evil roared and jumped high into the air. It raised its fist and smashed towards Night Sorrow's head. It wanted to smash Night Sorrow's head with its fist. You want to kill me in an instant? How is that possible? You're too naive. Gorilla Evil's movements were very primitive. It was basically the instinct of gorillas to kill. There was not much skill in it. Facing such an attack, Night Sorrow did not feel much pressure. He chose to meet it head-on. The battles between gorillas were basically like this. They relied on their primitive strength to fight. As long as they retreated, they would lose and be looked down upon by their tribe. Boom! Night Sorrow faced the sky and jumped into the air. He waved his fist and collided with Gorilla Evil's fist. The result was that he was evenly matched with Gorilla Evil. After they collided in the air, they were both sent flying hundreds of miles away and landed on the ice-cold ground. This Gorilla Evil's strength is really not weak. Night Sorrow is secretly amazed. This Gorilla Evil's strength exceeded his estimation. He originally thought that Gorilla Evil's strength should be similar to Ao Qingwu's. In fact, Gorilla Evil's strength is much stronger than Ao Qingwu's. Roar! Gorillas were creatures that did not hold back. Every attack would be at full strength. Gorilla Evil's attack did not kill Night Sorrow. It immediately roared and continued to attack with extreme ferocity. Come on, who is afraid of who? If you dare to be fierce with me, see how I'll slap you to death. Night Sorrow's aura became even more ferocious. He looked like a gorilla and roared towards the sky. He erupted with a world-shaking aura and immediately began to fight with Gorilla Evil. They did not use any secret techniques to increase their battle strength. They relied on the primitive strength of their bodies and fought with their blood gushing out. Gorilla Evil's strength was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but its body was incomparable. Moreover, Night Sorrow had the Azure Phoenix battle armor protecting him. After a few hundred rounds of fighting, Gorilla Evil was covered in wounds while Night Sorrow was unharmed. Seeing that Night Sorrow, a mid-level feather god, could suppress Gorilla Evil, the gorillas in the tribe roared excitedly. The dark races were very violent and worshipped the strong. During the course of the battle, Scarlet Evil panted heavily and gradually lost the ability to fight back. He was beaten by Yi Shang. It was very angry and powerless. The tribe could not use any secret techniques when fighting, but it was defeated by someone of a higher level. This was a great humiliation. It was so angry that it roared continuously. It could only roar helplessly, "Stop. I admit defeat. I, Gorilla Evil, admit defeat." "Admit defeat? Didn't you say you were going to tear me apart?" Night Sorrow roared and continued to hammer. "Enough. Stop." Seeing that the battle was over, the leader of the gorillas, Gorilla Evil, roared to stop him. After it roared, Night Sorrow, who was riding Gorilla Evil, hammered it more than 10 times before jumping down victoriously. Gorilla Evil had been beaten out of shape and was in a very miserable state. Its head was very low as it silently crawled to the back of the group of high gods. "You are very good, very strong, qualified to stand in the group of high gods. But what is your name? Why didn't you appear before?" After things calmed down and the tribe calmed down, Gorilla Evil questioned Night Sorrow fiercely. His aura was very shocking, very much like the might of a superior. "My name is Gorilla Death. I have been guarding the sinkhole for a few reincarnations. Recently, I was summoned and returned to the tribe." After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow explained in the language of the gorillas. From the gorillas he killed, he already knew about the gathering of the gorillas recently. If it was not so, there would be more than a few gorillas guarding the sinkhole. Moreover, the gorillas guarding the sinkhole were not only high gods but also Feather God realm. It was just that most Feather God realm gorillas died in various battles. Such an answer was basically flawless. However, Night Sorrow was still a little nervous. After all, it was a genuine imposter. "But why do you have the aura of a human cultivator on you?" Chapter 2448. What? Have I been found out? Hearing this question, Night Sorrow was shocked. He secretly wondered if he had been exposed. However, his current aura was no different from Yen Gui's. Moreover, his speech, actions, and expression were all impeccable. Logically speaking, it was impossible for him to be found out. Could it be the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear? At this time, Night Sorrow reacted. Although the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear had been nourished in the dark aura for 1,000 years, it was still from the hands of a cultivator. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow imitated Yen Gui's appearance and grimaced, reporting to the leader. "Tens of thousands of years ago, I once controlled a severely injured human cultivator in the sinkhole and read his memories and divine weapon. I also obtained many good things to increase the strength of my body." So that's how it is. Yen Kui stared at Night Sorrow for a while and didn't find anything wrong. He waved his hand and said, "Return to the team. From now on, you will be in the High God team and replace Yen Xie to rule a small team of 10. "Yes, leader." Night Sorrow, who had muddled his way through, heaved a sigh of relief. He made a gesture of reverence unique to the Yen Gui tribe, and then retreated to the team. "All of you, shut up for this lord." Hearing that Night Sorrow had replaced Yen Xie's position, the tribe was a little chaotic. Yen Kui roared. When the team quieted down again, he said in a hoarse voice, "I have gathered everyone here to announce something important. The Dark Demon Emperor will be completely free in 1,000 years. After the Emperor awakens, our Dark Realm will once again launch an attack on High Bay City. This time, we will raze High Bay City to the ground and devour all the cultivators." Dark Demon Emperor? It should be the Dark Demon Emperor, right? Its seal will be broken in 1,000 years? Looks like I have to think of a way to strengthen the seal quickly. Hearing Yen Kuei's words, Night Sorrow immediately felt a heavy pressure in his heart. If the Dark Demon Emperor was allowed to escape, the situation of the dark races in the dark domain would definitely end immediately. It would lead these dark creatures to break the suppression of the endless bone domain and return to the God realm. With High Bay City's strength, how could it withstand the attack of so many dark creatures? If Dark Fiend Divine Lord escapes, the consequences will be unimaginable. We have to think of something as soon as possible. Jin Yun, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, was also worried. However, they had just arrived, so it was already not easy for them to sneak into the gorillas. It was extremely difficult for them to get close to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain and find the place where the Dark Demon Divine Lord was sealed. Kill all the cultivators. The other gorillas immediately went crazy. They were looking forward to fighting. Those who had participated in the battle back then could even recall the smell of cultivators' blood. This will happen 1,000 years later. I've gathered all of you here because I have something else to do. Yen Kuei continued with a voice from hell. 100 years ago, a cultivator of dragons broke into the dark domain. In these 100 years, she slaughtered 2 races and then disappeared. Divine Lord An Hun of the Dark Demon Clan is worried that she will affect the Emperor, so he ordered all the clans to search for her and capture her alive or kill her. It's Ao Qinggu. Why did she barge into the dark dimension and slaughter 2 races? Night Sorrow was sure that the cultivator Yen Kuei was talking about was Ao Qinggu. Ao Qinggu had been corroded by the dark aura and was later cured. However, after she recovered, her temperament changed drastically, and she seemed to have turned into a demon. Now that she had appeared in the dark region and slaughtered 2 tribes, Yishang could not understand what was going on. Not only him, but Jing Yun was also puzzled. They could not figure out the motive, but they both realized that Ao Qingwu's strength must have improved greatly. Otherwise, she would not have been able to escape unscathed and disappear after destroying 2 races. At the same time, Night Sorrow and Jingyun also received a piece of bad news from Yen Kuei. There was a Divine Lord in the Dark Demon Clan. With a Divine Lord, the difficulty of their mission would definitely increase by several times. Leader Yen Kuei, I'm the deputy leader of the Soul Devourer clan God Eater. A cultivator of dragons has appeared and is slaughtering my clan. Our leader is not her match. Leader Yen Kuei, please send reinforcements. At this moment, an urgent cry for help suddenly sounded. The cry for help came from the Soul Devourer clan. This was an evil creature born from the Soul Devourer Evil Wind. It looked a little like a praying mantis, and its body was as hard as iron. To think that she would appear so soon. This is a chance to make a contribution. Team of high gods, follow me to capture the cultivator of dragons. The rest of you stay in the territory. Although the dark dimension was full of dark creatures, they also had their own natural treasures. As the 2 major races in the dark dimension, the Dark Demon Clan and the Dark Shadow Clan occupied the Thousand Cavern Mountain and controlled most of the resources. If he could help the Dark Demon Clan capture or kill the Dragon Clan cultivator, who was causing trouble at a critical moment, he would undoubtedly be rewarded handsomely. Hearing this, Yen Kuei immediately led his team to the Soul Devourer clan's territory to provide reinforcements. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, who were traveling with the clan, could only occasionally communicate with their eyes because it was inconvenient for them to communicate. Fortunately, the 2 had a good understanding of each other and could roughly understand each other. Jing Yun, who glanced at Night Sorrow, was obviously asking him what to do if the cultivator of dragons was really Ao Qinggu. Let's take one step at a time. Without seeing Ao Qinggu, Night Sorrow could not analyze her situation at all. He felt that he could only act according to the situation. That's the only way. Jing Yun nodded. She felt that she was just asking nonsense. In such a situation, it was difficult for her and Night Sorrow to control the direction of the situation. The Yen Kuei clan's territory was not far from the Soul Devourer clan's territory. It was only tens of thousands of miles away. It didn't take long for them to hear the sounds of fighting as they moved forward at high speed. In this darkness, Ao Qinggu, who was dressed in black, was surrounded by more than 10 high gods of the Soul Devourer clan. She was covered in blood and was in a very bad condition. She was on the verge of collapse. She roared hoarsely, "Kill! I'll kill all of you despicable creatures! I'll kill all of you, kill all of you! Ao Qinggu!" After getting closer, Night Sorrow noticed that the dark aura around Ao Qinggu was very dense, and her eyes were completely blood red. After not seeing her for 100 years, she seemed to have gone mad and completely lost control. However, she continued to kill the dark creatures. At this moment, she was fighting alone in the dark domain. She gave off an extremely tragic feeling. I think that you must have been a pure and kind female cultivator in the past. The unreasonable you, as well as the demonic you today, are all part of fate's pranks. It's all because of this damn dark aura. One day, I'll completely destroy this place. Ao Qingwu's crazy and pathetic appearance, as well as her hoarse and crazy roars, made Night Sorrow's heart ache. Even the corners of his eyes became wet. What made him understand the cause and effect was that Ao Qinggu chose to enter the dark domain before she completely demonized, and not the divine world. It should be because she was kind. Now that she was fighting like this, it proved that she hated the dark races very much. Chapter 2449. If it was him who was corroded by the dark aura, and gradually lost control of his emotions, he would have to face the despair and struggle of becoming a demon every day. How terrifying would that be? Night Sorrow felt uncomfortable all over just thinking about it. At that moment, Jingyan secretly grabbed Night Sorrow's arm. There were tears at the corners of her eyes, clearly feeling sorry for Ao Qinggu as well. Everyone was a cultivator, but they had to watch her being tortured by the dark race. That was an extremely cruel scene that no one could stand. Don't cry. The gorillas have no tears. We have to control our emotions so that we won't be discovered. After taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow gave Jingyan a look of assurance before turning his gaze back to Ao Qinggu. Ao Qinggu was even more wretched now that the exalted gods of the gorillas had joined the fray. Although her strength had improved greatly compared to when she lost to Night Sorrow, there was no way she could defend against the attacks of so many exalted gods. Before long, the scene turned into a one-sided slaughter. Ao Qingwu's hoarse roars were replaced by tragic howls. However, even under such circumstances, she did not choose to escape and continued to fight. Clearly, she wanted to fight to the end. Perhaps it was because she had enough of the torture and wanted to fight to free herself. What should we do? Seeing Ao Qinggu in such a state, Jingyan was extremely worried but could not think of a solution. No, this isn't your fault. I won't let you die just like that. Initially, Night Sorrow hated Ao Qinggu. However, he was touched by her now and did not want a cultivator like her to be tortured to death by the dark aura. Let's go and save her. Seeing that Gorilla Kuei and the others were joining in the attack, Ao Qinggu was in danger. Night Sorrow whispered to Jingyan and led the charge into the battle. By doing so, Night Sorrow was following his heart. How are we going to escape unscathed if we save her? Jingyan was clearly stunned when she saw Night Sorrow charging forward without hesitation. However, she did not hesitate and charged over as well. Roar! She's mine. No one is allowed to snatch her from me. Night Sorrow, who had charged into the battle, roared in a ferocious voice as he repelled several high god-level dark creatures that were attacking Ao Qinggu and stood in front of her. Soon after, Jingyan followed behind him and launched a sneak attack on 2 or 3 dark creatures, forcing them to retreat. Bastard! Xingshang, what are you doing? Yan Kuei, the leader of the Gorlock race, flew into a rage when he saw Night Sorrow's sneak attack and defeat several dark creatures. He was about to attack and kill Night Sorrow. Leader, I'm not helping the dragons. I'm preparing to capture her. Night Sorrow let out a low roar and explained. Chief, the soul-devouring race can't hold on any longer. That's why they asked us for help. Since we came to help, the dragons will naturally belong to us. If we capture her alive and send her to the Thousand Cavern Mountain, Sir Godin Hun will definitely be very happy. In that case, Night Sorrow was also quick-witted. He thought that if he captured Ao Qinggu and sent her to see Sir Godin Hun, he would be able to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain. This was simply a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Roar. That's right. In the dark sector, everyone coveted the resources of the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Hearing Night Sorrow's slightly unreasonable words, Yan Kuei immediately roared in agreement. However, their conversation immediately caused the soul-devouring race to be displeased. Yan Kuei, what do you mean? She appeared in our territory, so she naturally belongs to our race. The leader of the soul-devouring race, Shushi, immediately roared. Ao Qinggu was the meat in their hands. How could they bear to give her away? Belong to your soul-devouring race? If it weren't for my Gorlock race's support, you would have been destroyed by her. What right do you have to fight with my race? Before Yan Kuei could retort, Night Sorrow immediately roared. What Xingshang said makes sense. Yan Kuei nodded in satisfaction when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Roar. Are you preparing to fight? Shushi, the leader of the soul-devouring race, raised his huge hand. He was completely enraged. We are all dark creatures, and our soul-devouring race is also very murderous. Let's fight. Do you think my Gorlock race is afraid of you? In the dark sector, whoever had the biggest fist had the final say. Seeing that the situation was favorable, how could Yen Kuei be willing to speak? Looks like it's a success. The soul-devouring race is definitely no match for the Gorlock race. If the soul-devouring race had the strength of the Gorlock race, they would definitely not have hurriedly asked for help after being ambushed by Ao Qinggu. Yen Kuei, we will fight to the death. It's not that easy to take food from my soul-devouring race. Seeing Yen Kuei's determined attitude, Shushi roared. Soul-devouring race, listen to my command. Kill all the Gorlock race. You overestimate yourselves. Kill the Gorlock race. Yen Shang, control the dragons. Don't let her be taken away. At this time, Ao Qinggu had already exhausted her strength and fainted. She was in Night Sorrow's arms. Before the battle, Yen Kuei looked at Night Sorrow with satisfaction. He liked Night Sorrow's domineering attitude. Yes, leader. No one can take the prey from Yen Shang. Night Sorrow roared in a low voice. You're too similar. If I didn't know that you're Night Sorrow, even I would think that you're a Gorlock. Jing Yun, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, saw his actions and expression and felt like laughing. She was very smart and completely understood that Night Sorrow wanted to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Jing Yun, take care of her. I'll deal with the soul-devouring race. The soul-devouring race kept coming to snatch Ao Qinggu. Jing Yun was a little overwhelmed. Night Sorrow handed Ao Qinggu over to her and started fighting the high gods of the soul-devouring race. There were more than 30 high gods of the Gorlock race, more than 10 more than the soul-devouring race. There was only one high god of the soul-devouring race that Night Sorrow was fighting. Facing it, Night Sorrow handled it with ease. He quickly removed one of its hand blades and used it as a weapon to wildly hack at it. The high god of the soul-devouring race wanted to ask for help, but found that its race was completely at a disadvantage. They were no match for the Gorlock race and no one had the strength to help it. Without anyone's help, it was quickly dismantled by Night Sorrow. After dismantling the high god of the soul-devouring race, a golden power of virtue immediately appeared and drilled into Night Sorrow's body. Not good. I forgot about this. With the appearance of the power of virtue, Night Sorrow's strength obviously increased a little. However, he was not happy at all because it would be easy to be exposed. Night Sorrow immediately observed everyone in the battle. He found that they were basically all fighting and heaved a sigh of relief. However, before Night Sorrow could be happy, something that gave him a headache happened. Not far away, another race called over by the soul-devouring race, the nefarious demon race, arrived. This nefarious demon race was very strong. They had 2 intermediate high gods and more than 40 lower high gods. The Gorlock race was no match for them. If they attacked, the Gorlock race might not be able to protect Ao Qinggu. Seeing the nefarious demon race appear, the leader of the soul-devouring race, Shushi's eyes immediately lit up. He quickly asked for help and told them about Ao Qinggu. Chapter 2450. The nefarious demon tribe is very powerful. They have 2 middle high gods and over 40 lower high gods. This time, they have mobilized their entire tribe. Obviously, they want to capture Ao Qinggu and hand her over to Sir God and Hun. Standing beside Jing Yun and looking at the nefarious demon tribe, Night Sorrow could not help but think of a countermeasure. First of all, the nefarious demon tribe was not easy to deal with. Moreover, there might be other races appearing soon. This matter had to be resolved quickly. Yen Kuei, what are you doing? Why are you fighting with Shiryu? Are you trying to snatch the credit in their territory? Xiekuan, the leader of the nefarious demon tribe, said from tens of thousands of miles away. Seeing that the nefarious demon tribe had arrived, the gorilla tribe and soul eater tribe stopped fighting. Yen Kuei roared with strong fighting spirit. Without my gorilla tribe, the soul eater tribe would have suffered a great loss. They would not have been able to capture the dragon's cultivator. The credit naturally belongs to my gorilla tribe. How is this snatching the credit? In fact, if the nefarious demon tribe was not very powerful, Yen Kuei would not have wasted his breath on them. The dragon's cultivator did not transform into her dragon form this time. Her fighting power is not strong at all. Without you, my Soul Eater tribe could have taken her down. Sure, you, the leader of the Soul Eater tribe, retorted unhappily. He regretted informing the gorilla tribe and the nefarious demon tribe. Ao Qingwu could have wiped out the two tribes originally, because her tribe skills were too powerful after she transformed into her dragon form. Today, perhaps because of her severe injuries, she did not transform into her dragon form, and her fighting power was not very strong. Even without the help of the other dark tribes, the Soul Eater tribe could have dealt with her. If we did not come, she might have transformed into her dragon form. You know how the other two tribes were wiped out. Yen Kuei looked ferocious and his eyes were filled with strong fighting spirit. How could he be willing to give up the credit of Ao Qingwu? Not only was he furious, but the warriors of the gorilla tribe were also furious. They could accept taking the credit of others, but they could not allow others to take the credit of others. Facing Yen Kuei's question, Shiji didn't know how to refute. He said angrily, Chief Xiekuan, my soul-devouring clan is willing to give all the credit to the nefarious devil tribe. If the gorilla clan dares to snatch the credit, my spirit devourer clan is willing to assist you in killing them all. The gorilla clan had just killed a few high deity experts, so devouring sacrifice hated gorilla clan and gorilla clan to the core. When it said this, it glared at Night Sorrow fiercely. At that time, if not for Night Sorrow, Yen Kuei might not have made the prompt decision to capture Ao Qingwu. Hehe. Very good. Xiekuan hadn't said anything, as he had been waiting for Devourer's words. Hearing that, Xiekuan berated Yen Kuei. Get out of the Devourer tribe's territory immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me, Xiekuan, for being ruthless and annihilating your gorilla tribe. The credit belongs to my nefarious devil tribe. Bastard. You didn't even do anything, so why should the credit be yours? Hearing Xiekuan's threat, Yen Kuei's ferocious nature completely erupted as it roared back. Because my nefarious devil tribe is stronger than your gorilla clan. If you don't get out of my sight, I'll annihilate your entire tribe. Xiekuan bared his huge fangs and threatened. The nefarious devil tribe looked a little like human cultivators, but they were taller and had two boar-like fangs in their mouths. They looked very ferocious. Roar. Yen Kuei, who was completely enraged, roared, but it didn't have the domineering aura it had when facing the Spirit Devourer clan. The nefarious devil tribe's strength was originally much stronger than the gorilla clan. Now that they had the help of the Spirit Devourer clan, if they chose to fight to the death, they would definitely be annihilated. What are you roaring for? Get out of my sight. Xiekuan, the leader of the nefarious devil tribe, threatened impatiently. Damn it. Leader, please allow us to fight to the death. That's right. My gorilla clan swears to the death. Leader, please allow us to fight to the death. Seeing their leader being scolded, many high deity gorillas were enraged. The dark races were evil, warlike, bloodthirsty, and violent. They only knew how to fight to the death and weren't as meticulous as the God Realm cultivators. No. Retreat. Yen Kuei, the leader of the gorilla clan, was more rational and roared unwillingly. He knew that if they fought, the gorilla clan would definitely be annihilated today. The gorilla clan only had one medium high deity expert, while the other side had 3. If they fought, he would be the first to be torn apart. Yen Shang, leave the dragons to them. Let's retreat. After gathering the gorilla clan and preparing to leave the Spirit Devourer clan's territory, Yen Kuei roared when he saw that Night Sorrow and Jing Yun were still controlling Ao Qingwu. The gorilla clan warriors beside him were furious. They felt very aggrieved to admit defeat. Retreat? We don't need to retreat. The ones who should leave are the nefarious devil tribe who stole the credit. The ones who should be annihilated are the Spirit Devourer clan. At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't have the slightest intention of retreating. If he handed Ao Qingwu over, he could ensure his own safety, but he would definitely lose the opportunity to go to the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Moreover, he didn't want to hand Ao Qingwu over and watch her be tortured to death by the dark creatures. What did you say? Where did this little brat come from? Even Yen Kuei gave in. How dare you, a medium feather god, act so arrogantly? I see that your nefarious devil tribe is weak, but very arrogant. Xiaowan, go and tear him apart. Xiaokuan roared and ordered. Yes, Lord Chief. Xiaowan of the nefarious devil tribe half knelt and saluted Xiaokuan. Then he walked out of the formation and went straight to Night Sorrow. Yansheng, come back. I know you're not satisfied. But we're not strong enough, so we can only retreat. Don't fight in a moment of anger. Come back immediately. Yan Kuei admired Night Sorrow's courage, but he felt that he was overestimating himself. Fighting in this kind of situation was obviously courting death. You still want to retreat? It's too late. How dare you bark in front of Lord Chief? I'll tear you to pieces. Xiaowan roared as he ran. How dare you shout at me? I'll break your fangs first. Facing Xiaowan, who was charging at him, Night Sorrow smiled and used the star's hegemonic body. Although Xiaowan was only a lesser high god, he seemed stronger than Xiaowan. Night Sorrow didn't dare to be careless. Without waiting for Xiaowan to attack, Night Sorrow jumped up and punched him. Medium feather god brat, you're overestimating yourself. Evil Chaos grinned as Night Sorrow pounced at him from the air. He was about to jump up and smash Night Sorrow's arms before torturing him. He didn't care about a medium feather god at all. However, to Xiaowan's surprise, Night Sorrow's speed was astonishing. Before he could even attack, two mountain-like fists smashed down from the sky. Xiaowan hurriedly raised his hands to block, but Night Sorrow broke his arms. While Xiaowan was howling, Night Sorrow fiercely pressed him to the ground and broke his fangs. I said that I'll break your fangs. After breaking Xiaowan's fangs, Night Sorrow stepped on him and said arrogantly, the nefarious devil tribe is too weak. Who dares to fight me? Chapter 2451. Great! Good job, Scarlet Sorrow. Night Sorrow defeated the arrogant nefarious demon in one round. The warriors of the Scarlet Gorilla tribe roared. They felt that they had vented their anger. Very good. Scarlet Kuei, who had thought that Night Sorrow was overestimating himself, grinned and praised him. He also felt that he had vented his anger. At this moment, Night Sorrow stabbed two of his fangs into Xiaowan's head. You're courting death. Someone kill it for me. Xiaokuan bared his fangs in anger. The nefarious demon's reputation was severely damaged. At this moment, Xiaowan was killed in a one-on-one duel. He could not directly declare war on the Scarlet Gorilla tribe. That would be too embarrassing. He could only roar and give the order. Leader, let me kill it. Xiamei, who was second only to the two intermediate high gods of the nefarious demon tribe, knelt down and requested to fight. Night Sorrow killed Xiaowan in an instant. He was immediately valued by the nefarious demons. Good. Xiamei, you can go and tear it apart. Xiaokuan glanced at Xiamei and nodded. It's not my match. I want to challenge you. Xiaokuan. At this moment, Night Sorrow surprisingly pointed at Xiaokuan and challenged him. Killing Xiaowan was not Night Sorrow's real goal. He wanted to provoke Xiaokuan and get the chance to challenge him. As long as he defeated the leader of the nefarious demons, the nefarious demons would retreat without a fight. This was the only way Night Sorrow could think of to force the enemy to retreat. If a group battle broke out, he would be powerless. This was the only way. Shameless boasting. If you want to challenge the leader, you'll have to get through me first. Xiamei saw Night Sorrow challenge Xiaokuan and rushed out of the group in anger. You're not my match. Why are you here to die? Xiamei was one of the strongest lower high gods of the dark races. However, he was much weaker than cultivators. He was about the same as Ao Qinggu when she had just broken through to the upper god realm. How could he be a match for Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow only activated his essence smoke beacon and Star's tyrannical body to crush him with his physical advantage. Its fate was the same as Xiaowan's. Xingshang's strength is beyond my imagination. Could it be that it's not from my clan? Seeing how overbearing Night Sorrow was, the other members of the gorilla clan roared again and again. However, Gorilla Kuei felt that something was wrong. Since ancient times, there had never been a gorilla with such fighting strength. It immediately suspected Night Sorrow's identity. Yishang didn't notice this at all. I said, I want to challenge you. Xiaokuan. Don't send your clansmen to their deaths. Could it be that you don't dare to fight me? Knight Sorrow pointed at Siekuan, the leader of the nefarious devil tribe. He was trying to provoke the other party. He wanted to turn the complicated situation into a simple one-on-one fight. Since you want to die, I don't mind tearing you to pieces. At this moment, Siekuan was completely enraged. If he did not dare to accept the challenge of a middle-level feather god in front of so many clansmen, then he could forget about being the leader. Originally, he could have snatched Ao Qingwu's credit without shedding a drop of blood. Now that he was being challenged, Siekuan was furious. Seeing that Knight Sorrow actually dared to challenge Siekuan, the members of the gorilla clan roared excitedly. Gorilla Kuei's gaze was deep as he secretly observed Knight Sorrow. At the same time, he recalled the scene after Knight Sorrow had appeared. Not good. Gorilla Kuei is starting to suspect Knight Sorrow. Jing Yun, who was secretly observing Gorilla Kuei, cursed inwardly. She began to think of a countermeasure. If Gorilla Kuei exposed Knight Sorrow's identity on the spot, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although these dark creatures were not strong in one-on-one fights, there were many of them. With dozens of high gods attacking together, it would be difficult for Knight Sorrow to escape. At the same time, Knight Sorrow and Siekuan officially started their battle. After all, Siekuan was a middle-level high god. His body was very strong. In the battle, Knight Sorrow had no choice but to use the Thousand Catty Demon Spear. Although the Thousand Catty Demon Spear was shrouded in a dark aura, and had the aura of a human practitioner, many of the dark creatures present did not mind. This was because there were many divine weapons and cultivation resources in the dark region that had been snatched from Haibei City. Only Gorilla Kuei's gaze became brighter and brighter. His suspicion of Knight Sorrow grew stronger. However, at this time, Knight Sorrow was fighting with the nefarious demon tribe. Gorilla Kuei naturally would not speak. He wanted to use Knight Sorrow to defeat the nefarious demon tribe, and then reap the benefits. If it really is a human cultivator, then our contribution this time is really too great. Sir God Anhun will definitely reward me handsomely. Gorilla Kuei's face revealed a trace of ruthlessness and complacency. Sir God Anhun was currently the only Sir God expert in the dark region. Gorilla Kuei really hoped to receive a reward from him. It seems that Knight Sorrow has really been discovered. What should I do? Jing Yun, who had been paying attention to Gorilla Kuei, was a little anxious. She thought of a countermeasure. She was not too worried about the battle between Knight Sorrow and Siekuan because she knew the true battle strength of Knight Sorrow. You, the leader of the nefarious demon tribe, aren't very strong. You can't even suppress the feather god of my gorilla tribe. In the face of Knight Sorrow, Siekuan was at ease and did not suffer any losses. The battle strength of the dark creatures was lower than he had imagined. Ordinary practitioners should be able to fight against them, let alone him, who had strengthened his body with the Genesis essence of heaven and earth. You deserve to die. After fighting with Knight Sorrow for a while, Siekuan didn't have the slightest advantage. Instead, he was stabbed several times. Siekuan's face instantly fell. He immediately used a dark secret technique to increase his strength by several times. Facing Siekuan, whose strength had skyrocketed, Knight Sorrow finally felt the obvious pressure. Looks like I have to use the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear that brother taught me. In the dark domain, one could not use the power of virtue. Knight Sorrow, who felt the pressure, immediately used the modified soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. After using the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, the 1,000-kilogram demon vanquishing spear was immediately surrounded by black gas. This was different from the original light of the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. It was the result of Knight Sorrow's research for a long time. Buzz. As soon as the spear was used, Siekuan, who had a strong body, was immediately sent flying. This surprised him and made him extremely angry. As the leader of a tribe, he could not even suppress a nameless shrimp. This made Siekuan feel very hurt. This is the spear technique of the human golden body divine lord. Seeing Knight Sorrow use the modified soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, Gorilla Kuei was completely sure that Knight Sorrow was a human practitioner. If he was not a human practitioner, he would not have been able to obtain the inheritance of the golden body divine lord. The golden body Divine Lord was an existence that made the entire dark domain tremble in fear. It was impossible for him to leave his inheritance to a dark creature. Back then, he had experienced the scene of the golden body Divine Lord killing the shadow Divine Lord, and was lucky enough to survive. He had a deep memory of the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. At this time, Night Sorrow wanted to pay attention to Jingyun to see if she was controlling Ao Qinggu. However, he found that there was something in her eyes. Gorilla Kuei has discovered my identity. With Jingyun's reminder, Night Sorrow paid attention to Gorilla Kuei and knew that his identity had been exposed. However, he did not have time to pay attention to Gorilla Kuei. He continued to fight with Xiaokuan. As the leader of a tribe, Xiaokuan had many tricks up his sleeves. However, the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear restrained him severely. He had used various secret techniques continuously, but he was still not suppressed by Night Sorrow. He had no ability to resist at all. In the end, Xiaokuan was in despair. However, there was no other way. He was no match for Night Sorrow. Even if he was unwilling, he had to swallow the bitter fruit of defeat. Since you are the leader of a tribe, I will kill you. Take the nefarious demon tribe and leave this place quickly. After defeating Xiaokuan, Night Sorrow did not kill him. He was afraid that Xiaokuan would turn into a sacred golden power of virtue and enter his body. If that was the case, he would really die without a burial place. After dealing with the nefarious demon tribe, it's time to figure out how to deal with Gorilla Kuei. His identity could not be exposed. At this time, Night Sorrow felt a heavy pressure. Chapter 2452. Roar. I'm no match for you. Xiaokuan, who had been defeated by Night Sorrow, was unwilling to accept this. He roared angrily, then stood up and ordered, "Nefarious demons, follow me back to my territory." After being defeated, he was too ashamed to stay here and fight for credit. Wait. You can't leave yet. At this moment, another mid-level high god of the nefarious demons, Xiexing, suddenly grinned and said, "Xiaokuan, you can't even defeat a mid-level feather god. You don't have the right to continue ruling our nefarious demons." Xiexing actually challenged Xiaokuan at this moment. Originally, Xiexing was no match for Xiaokuan, but now that Xiaokuan was seriously injured, he realized that this was a good opportunity for him to become the leader. So that's how it works. Looks like there's a turning point for Xiaokuan. Seeing Xiexing challenge Xiaokuan, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. He pointed the 1,000-kilogram demon-subduing spear at Xiaokuan and said, "Xiaokuan, you're too weak. You retreated without a fight after being provoked by the nefarious demons. You don't have the right to continue leading our nefarious demons. I challenge you to a duel." You're just a human cultivator, and you want to challenge me? Dream on. Warriors of the nefarious demons, tear this human cultivator to shreds. Xiaokuan's combat strength was about the same as Xiaokuan's. Seeing that Xiaokuan was no match for Night Sorrow, how could he fight him one-on-one? He directly exposed his identity. Hearing Xiaokuan's words, the nefarious demons were in an uproar. At this moment, Jingyun roared in a nefarious demon voice, "Xiaokuan, you're not only a coward, you're also despicable and shameless. You're not Xiaokuan's match, so you deliberately framed him. You don't have the courage of the nefarious demons, and you don't deserve to be our leader." Roar. You're also a human cultivator. Xiaokuan, who hadn't noticed Jingyun, pointed at her and roared. "We're all human cultivators. Are you the only coward who's a true nefarious demon?" Night Sorrow roared. "Warriors of the nefarious demons, I'll now destroy this coward Xiaokuan and lead everyone to the 1,000-cavern mountain. I'll bring you endless glory." Roar. Under Night Sorrow's encouragement, the nefarious demons of the nefarious demons roars immediately. The tribe worshipped the strong. At this moment, Night Sorrow had the right to speak. "You've all been fooled by him. He really is a human cultivator. Why can't you see it?" Yen Kuei roared furiously when he saw that the situation wasn't right. However, in the face of the nefarious devil clan, it chose to give up its merits. This already made many of the primal devils dissatisfied, and it was not popular with them. Furthermore, it continuously accused Night Sorrow and Jing Yun of being human cultivators, which gave off a very fake feeling, and none of the gorillas were willing to believe it. Yen Kuei, your cowardice has brought shame to my Yen clan. Even Yen Xie, who had been beaten half to death by Night Sorrow, stood up and criticized Yen Kuei for his cowardice. Yes. Xing Kuei, you are jealous that Xingshang is stronger than you. I'm afraid that it will threaten your position as leader. You're really despicable. The other gorillas also roared. You guys are really... Yen Kuei was so angry that he hammered his chest, but he was helpless. No one in the Yen clan trusted him. Just now, the gorilla clan had been slapped in the face under its leadership, but Night Sorrow immediately slapped them in the face. Comparing the two, Night Sorrow naturally received more support. As a dark creature, the gorillas had no emotions. Whoever was the strongest would be the leader. This was a rule that would never change even after thousands of reincarnations. Yen Kuei's current behavior made them feel disdain. What? Do you have the guts to fight me fair and square? Whoever wins will become the leader of the gorilla clan. Night Sorrow roared out with a ferocious aura. Do you dare to fight me to the death or not? Do you dare? Roar. Come, let's fight. Could it be that I, Yen Kuei, am afraid of a human cultivator like you? Unable to explain himself, Yen Kuei panted heavily. It was obvious that he was extremely furious, but since he couldn't explain himself, he could only choose to fight. Otherwise, it would be looked down upon by the gorilla clan. If you frame me again, I will tear your mouth apart. The gorilla clan's fighting style was very primitive. Night Sorrow roared and rushed towards Yen Kuei. Yen Kuei didn't say a word. Night Sorrow thought to himself, it seems that no matter where you are, the one who wins the people's hearts wins the world. As long as the words were provocative enough, even if it was false, it could become true. Human cultivator, go to hell. Yen Kuei, who had completely lost his composure, only wanted to tear Night Sorrow to shreds. He immediately activated his strongest secret technique and raised his strength to the peak. He also used the gorilla clan's unique technique. Soul-splitting evil slaying spear. Facing Yen Kuei's strongest attack, Night Sorrow once again activated the Essence Chi Smoke Signal and Star's Tyrant Body, which were concealed by the dark aura. Then he displayed the Forbidden Spear, which was the fusion of 10 spears. When he was very close to Yen Kuei, Night Sorrow shouted the soul-splitting evil slaying spear. Damn it! Hearing this name, Yen Kuei was subconsciously afraid because the scene of gold-bodied Divine Emperor killing Divine Emperor Dark Shadow and sealing Divine Emperor Dark Demon had terrified him. Boom! With a slight distraction, Yen Kuei was immediately blown away by Night Sorrow's spear. Although the simple Forbidden Spear was not as exquisite as the soul-splitting evil-slaying spear, its power was not small. Kill it, kill it! Under Jing Yun's instigation, the other gorillas continuously shouted. Ah! I'm so angry! You bunch of brainless trash! Hearing the cries of the gorillas, Yen Kuei could not concentrate at all to continue fighting. At this moment he was too aggrieved. At this moment, on the other side, Xie Kuan, who had almost lost his life, killed Xie Xing, who had challenged him, and retained his position as the leader. With only half a breath left, he did not dare to stay and ordered his clan to return to their territory. Seeing the evil demon clan leave, the Soul Goblin clan was dumbfounded and did not know what to do. Dark Control rise. Night Sorrow, who had the upper hand, immediately used soul control after completely suppressing Yen Kuei and seeing that he was distracted. He used the evil dark aura to surround Yen Kuei's body. He did not dare to kill Yen Kuei because it would definitely expose his power of merit. Using soul control was the best choice. Roar. Human cultivator, you want to control me? This is impossible. Yen Kuei realized that Night Sorrow was using soul control on him, and immediately focused on resisting. You brainless thing, you are no match for me in terms of soul control. Facing Yen Kuei, who was a middle-level high deity, Night Sorrow also found it difficult, but he was extremely confident. Being forced into such a situation, he had to be tough enough to control Yen Kuei and shut him up completely. Night Sorrow, you can do it. Jing Yun, who knew how difficult it was to control a middle-level high deity across so many levels, worriedly prayed to Night Sorrow. Although she was very confident in Night Sorrow, she was still a female cultivator, and her mind was more active. Now that Night Sorrow was in danger, Jingyun realized how much she cared about him, and did not want him to be hurt. Interestingly, the other high deities of the gorillas were also cheering for Night Sorrow, hoping that he could completely control Yen Kuei. He would become the new leader of the gorillas. As for Night Sorrow's identity, no one doubted it. Chapter 2453. While all the members of the gorilla clan were looking forward to it, Night Sorrow and Yen Kuei's soul did not entangle for long before he suppressed it and completely controlled its mind. At this time, the remaining high gods of the soul-devouring clan were still hesitating whether they should take the opportunity to escape or not. The soul-devouring clan is still hesitating and did not escape. I can read some information about Yen Kuei without worry. Ao Qinggu was still unconscious under Jingyun's control. The soul-devouring clan also did not make any movements. Night Sorrow glanced at Yen Kuei and began to read his memory. As the leader of the gorilla clan, his memory was much more complicated than the hairless gorilla in the pit. The useful information was also many times more. Yen Kuei had witnessed the battle back then, and had seen the current strongest expert of the dark sector, Sir God An Hun. At the same time, he knew the way to the Thousand Cave Mountain. This was very useful information. So my brother was already an invincible Sir God back then. Moreover, his body refining and cultivation techniques were based on what his predecessors had learned. What a genius! In the battle back then, Sir God Mo Qianqian had killed his way into the dark sector alone, killed Sir God Inying, severely injured Sir God Anmo, and sealed him under the Thousand Cave Mountain. He had also used the Endless Bone Realm to seal the entire dark sector. This was definitely a great merit for High Bay City. Mo Qianqian's figure was not tall, and was even a little stooped. His appearance was also not extraordinary, and his face was slightly wretched. However, when he fought, he was incomparably heroic and brought great shock to Night Sorrow's heart. Hearing about it and seeing it with my own eyes are two completely different things. All sorts of images flashed through his mind. Night Sorrow even felt his blood boil. The predecessors had set a good example for him. No, this is not the right place. I need to control my emotions. The scenes in his mind made Night Sorrow excited and made Night Sorrow sad. However, he knew that this was not good because he was now in the dark sector. The slightest mistake would expose his identity. After confirming the approximate location of the soul-splitting evil spear through the battle scenes and familiarizing himself with the Thousand Cave Mountain, Night Sorrow slowly calmed down. In addition, Yen Kuei had met Sir God An Hun before. However, Night Sorrow did not read the relevant memories as he was afraid of being detected. There was a lot of other useful information, and Night Sorrow decided to slowly digest it. Otherwise, it would take too long. Yen Kuei, my servant, you should know what to do next. Night Sorrow, whose expression had gradually returned to normal, ordered Yen Kuei. At this moment, Yen Kuei's soul had been completely destroyed. Night Sorrow only needed to use a small portion of his soul power to completely control him. Yes, my master. Yen Kuei's originally evil gaze had become somewhat sluggish. After replying, it knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Night Sorrow. Leader, I am willing to serve you. Leader. Leader. At this point, the high gods of the gorilla race knew that a new leader had been born. Night Sorrow had become their ruler. They all knelt on the ground and roared. Night Sorrow had just defeated Xiaokuan, the leader of the evil demon race, and brought him endless prestige. The gorilla warriors, who revered the strong, revealed a crazed look in their eyes. They were all waiting for Night Sorrow's order to kill all of the Soul Eater race. Finally, we have one. As expected, you never disappoint. Originally, Jingyun wanted to kowtow with the other gorillas. However, Night Sorrow stopped her. Bring the dragons over. Yes, leader. Jingyun took the opportunity to bring Ao Qinggu to Night Sorrow's side, avoiding the awkwardness of kowtowing. Our chance to become stronger is here. Night Sorrow whispered to Jingyun. Then, he looked at the gorillas who were kneeling on the ground and roared. Exterminate the Soul Eater race and seize their treasury. These dark creatures were extremely evil by nature. They existed to kill. Night Sorrow had no sympathy for them. Naturally, he would not go easy on them. Kill them all. These words were very provocative. The guerrilla warriors, who had been waiting for this order, all stood up and charged towards the Soul Eater race. Don't let a single one of them go. The guerrillas and the Soul Eater race soon began to fight. Night Sorrow, who was fighting against Devourer, gave an iron-blooded order. Showing mercy to the dark creatures was the same as persecuting the cultivators of the heavenly realm. Night Sorrow would not do such a stupid thing. If not for the fact that killing the dark creatures in public would expose his identity, he would have started a massacre long ago. In this battle, the guerrillas had a great advantage. In the end, the guerrillas lost more than a dozen high gods. As for the Soul Eater race, other than their leader, Devourer, who was under Night Sorrow's sole control, the other high gods were all killed. Night Sorrow did not care about the guerrillas' losses. He would kill these dark creatures sooner or later. Go annihilate the soul-devouring clan, and seize their treasury. Every dark creature was born from evil. Night Sorrow, who controlled Devourer, led the remaining 20 or so high gods to kill all the members of the Soul Eater race in the Soul Eater race's territory. Night Sorrow then controlled Devourer to open the door to the Soul Eater race's treasury. This treasury had existed for countless reincarnations, and had accumulated a large amount of resources. Most of them were dark resources used by the dark races to increase their strength. At the same time, there were also some cultivation resources that Night Sorrow and Jingyun could use. Night Sorrow, who needed the help of the gorilla race's high gods, distributed all the dark resources to the gorillas and chased them out of the treasury. He and Jingyun studied the cultivation resources that the Soul Eater race had snatched. Although the Soul Goblin clan was not very strong in the dark region, they had accumulated a lot of cultivation resources over a long period of time. Night Sorrow found 13 drops of Genesis essence and gave them to Jingyun to increase her strength. Jingyun used 10 drops and prepared to slowly absorb them. The other 3 drops were used to treat Ao Qingwu. After absorbing the 3 drops of Genesis essence, Ao Qingwu's injuries rapidly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, perhaps because her soul was too seriously injured, she did not wake up. It was a good thing that Ao Qingwu, who had lost control, did not wake up. Night Sorrow and Jingyun, who had saved her life, thought that she could avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble. How can I quickly increase my strength? The road to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain will definitely not be easy. If my strength stagnates, I will definitely not be able to complete the task of sealing the Dark Demon Divine Lord. It seems that I need to deal with Devourer in the treasury to obtain the power of virtue. The treasury of the Soul Eater race contained divine artifacts, protective armor, pills, and a large amount of materials for cultivators. If these things were obtained in the divine world, it would definitely be equivalent to a windfall. But in the dark domain, they could not be brought out. Night Sorrow divided some pills into several categories and tied them to his belt. He was ready to summon Devourer and kill it to obtain the power of virtue. But at this time, Jingyun, who had consumed the Genesis essence but had not absorbed it, held a pitch-black spear and handed it to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, if I'm not wrong, this is a high god-level divine artifact, and its grade is very good. Oh, is it? Why can't I see it? The pitch-black spear was covered in dust. It seemed to be a divine artifact with 9 lightning tribulation feathers, but its grade was not as good as the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear that had absorbed the Genesis essence. Night Sorrow had observed it just now, but he did not see that it was a high god-level divine artifact. This is a divine artifact refined by the Phoenix race using an ancient method. Only the Phoenix race can use their own blood to undo its seal. My bloodline is very pure, so I should be able to undo its seal. Jingyun explained. She stared at Night Sorrow and asked, if I undo its seal now, will there be any problems? Chapter 2454. It's fine. Other than Gorilla Kuei, those gorillas are mindlessly absorbing dark resources to increase their strength. They don't have time to care about us. Moreover, the Soul Goblin clan's treasury has a natural array. They won't notice if we cause any commotion. Night Sorrow, who knew that nothing would happen, nodded at Jingyun, indicating that she could begin immediately. The 1,000 catty demons subduing spear had evolved in the endless bone realm. It had not undergone any lightning tribulation, so its power was limited. It could deal with a lower high god, but it would be a little difficult to deal with an intermediate high god. As for an upper high god, it could not deal with them at all. Night Sorrow was looking forward to seeing that Jingyun had discovered a divine weapon refined by the Phoenix clan. He secretly hoped that it would be of a higher grade. Then I'll begin. It should be very powerful. After glancing at Night Sorrow, Jingyun cut the tip of her finger and poured a drop of sparkling and translucent phoenix blood onto the pitch-black spear. The phoenix blood dripped onto the surface of the spear and was quickly absorbed. However, it did not react at all. This spear doesn't seem simple. It's normal that my drop of phoenix blood can't completely revive it, but it's not responding at all. This means that it's of a very high grade. Jingyun's face lit up as she continued to pour the phoenix blood onto the spear. 2 drops. 3 drops. After a total of 10 drops, the black spear let out a loud phoenix cry. In an instant, the dusty black spear bloomed with dazzling red flames. The blazing flames were like a phoenix flapping its wings, as if it could burn all evil in the world. It gave people a feeling of great power. Good spear. I'll call you the blazing spear for now. Night Sorrow praised sincerely as he took the blazing spear. Then he held the spear and began to practice his spear art. For a moment, the treasury was filled with roars. This blazing spear is very handy. It should be a high god level forbidden artifact. I can't use its forbidden power, but it's perfect for fighting in the dark dimension. With it, I can kill an ordinary lower high god with just one shot. After putting away the raging flame spear, Night Sorrow used his dark aura to turn the red flames into black, concealing the aura of his body. There shouldn't be any problems, right? Jingyun was still worried that the raging flame spear would be exposed. It's fine, don't worry. The most important thing for us now is to increase our strength as quickly as possible. Night Sorrow comforted him and said solemnly, I plan to use Ao Qingwu's matter to head straight to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. Whether our mission is successful or not will soon be decided. All right. I'll do my best to absorb the Genesis essence to strengthen my body. Jingyun nodded with a serious expression. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to be so decisive and seized the opportunity as soon as it appeared. Originally, she thought that Night Sorrow would take it one step at a time and gain a firm foothold in the guerrilla clan. After using the resources to become stronger, he would wait for an opportunity to complete the mission. All right, increase your strength as soon as possible. I still have things to do. After instructing Jingyun, Night Sorrow summoned the leader of the Spirit Devourer clan, Devouring Sacrifice, and directly destroyed it and absorbed all the power of virtue it produced. After absorbing Devouring Sacrifice's power of virtue, Night Sorrow's power of virtue suddenly increased by a lot. He was about 60% away from the upper feather god level. In other words, by devouring this mid-level high god, his merit power had increased by 40% compared to when he was a mid-level feather god. It seems that as long as I find a way to kill more dark creatures, my power of virtue will soon reach the peak of the feather god level, which is the half-step high god level. In the endless bone realm and the dark domain, the laws of heaven and earth were not complete, so it was impossible to pass the tribulation. Night Sorrow could only cultivate his power of virtue to the half-step high god level, which he felt a little regretful about. He thought that if he could break through to the merit high god level, he might be able to escape from the attack of a divine lord, or even slightly resist a divine lord. However, the sun waxes and wanes, the moon waxes and wanes. In the southeast, the sky is high, and the earth is not perfect. There is no such thing as perfection in the world. Soon Night Sorrow felt relieved. He felt that if his power of virtue increased too quickly, other aspects would not be able to keep up. This was detrimental to his state of mind. Leader! Leader! Enemies are attacking. At this moment, Yan Kuei's voice suddenly sounded. Jingyun, enemies are attacking. Take Ao Qingwu and stay by my side. She is very important to us. Don't let her be taken away. Without knowing what the enemy was, Night Sorrow took Jing Yun by his side and walked out of the Spirit Devourer clan's treasury. Yen Kuei, I heard that you were defeated by the Feather God level clansmen and lost your position as leader. What a joke. The moment Night Sorrow walked out of the treasury, a cold voice was insulting Yen Kuei. This was an extremely large demon. Its green body was surrounded by a black aura, giving off an extremely evil feeling. It was the leader of the Azure Demons, Qing Emperor. Its strength was at the upper greater celestial level, and there were 2 middle greater celestial level Azure Demons on its left and right. Behind the 3 powerhouses were 70 to 80 lower greater celestial level dark creatures. There were Azure Demons and other races. One of them was from the nefarious demon tribe. Night Sorrow had some impression of it. He knew that it was the nefarious demon tribe that had told the Azure Demons about Ao Qinggu. If you were killed by the Feather God level Yen Kuei, wouldn't that be the biggest joke in the world? Night Sorrow retorted on behalf of Yen Kuei. He said disdainfully, "Tell me your name." "I, Yen Kuei, don't kill nameless people." "You are Yen Kuei, the new leader of the Yen Kuei clan?" Qing Emperor shifted his gaze from Yen Kuei to Night Sorrow and roared arrogantly. "The leader who will kill you and the Yen Kuei clan today is Qing Emperor." Roar. "You deserve to die. Leader, allow us to fight to the death." The leader of the Azure Demons, Qing Emperor, said that he would kill the Yen Kuei clan, which immediately angered the Yen Kuei clan. They had just absorbed a lot of dark resources, and their strength had increased. They were not afraid of fighting at all. "What? You're Qing Emperor? You think you're worthy of being called Qing Emperor? Go to hell. Your fate is to be nourishment." The Azure Demon's name was Qing Emperor, which was the opposite of Night Sorrow's master. This enraged him. He took the blazing spear from his back and stabbed it at the Azure Demon. Before the tip of the spear arrived, the Azure Demon was engulfed in black flames. This spear is interesting. It should be from a cultivator. However, you can't unleash its true power when you use it. Facing Yi Shang's spear, the leader of the Azure Demons, the Azure Emperor, ferociously slapped out with his huge palm, extinguishing the flames. He then met the blazing spear head-on. He thought that the spear's power was only at the level of a lesser great god, so he didn't think too much of it. A greater great god's body refinement strength is indeed strong, but you underestimate me too much. The Azure Demon leader named Qing Emperor carelessly grabbed the blazing spear's tip. Chapter 2455. The 7-star Berserk Fecta was the 3rd layer of the 7-star Berserk technique. It could instantly increase one's strength by 3 times, and the backlash was much smaller than that of the 7th layer. This was a secret technique that Night Sorrow hadn't used in a long time. When these techniques were used together, and the soul-rending evil vanquishing spear was used, the ambush was a complete success. The Qing Emperor, who had obviously underestimated his opponent, had one of his arms blown off. "Ah, you deserve to die." The Qing Emperor, who had originally thought that he could kill Night Sorrow, lost one of his arms in a single exchange. He was instantly enraged. He used a secret technique of the Azure Fiend race to increase his strength by several times, and he furiously fought with Night Sorrow. While they were fighting, the people of the 2 clans were constantly shouting, hoping that their leaders would win. The Qing Emperor, who had the strength of a high god, quickly gained the upper hand after using a secret technique to increase his strength. He suppressed Night Sorrow and forced him to retreat. This caused Jing Yun and the warriors of the gorilla race to worry. Jing Yun clenched her fists tightly. Hee. That's the effect I wanted. However, Night Sorrow's expression was relaxed. That was because he had done it on purpose. Dark creatures were extremely fierce and fearless in battle, but they were also very stupid. He purposely showed weakness and waited for the next opportunity. Night Sorrow, who was being suppressed, continued to flee, but he didn't suffer any losses. During this process, he felt the backlash from the 7-star Berserk Fecta. He immediately pulled out a pill from a bottle on his belt and swallowed it. Very quickly, the discomfort caused by the backlash was cured. It's really useful. It seems that I can try to use the 7-star Berserk light shaking art. The pill that Night Sorrow had consumed was called the Soul Recovery Pill. It could instantly restore a cultivator's soul and body. He had found a total of 7 pills. Night Sorrow was full of confidence. On the other side, the azure fiend named Qing Emperor was becoming more and more agitated. It seemed to have the upper hand, but it couldn't touch its opponent at all. Every time it attacked, it felt like it was hitting cotton. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable. Do you dare fight me head-on? Qing Emperor yelled angrily as his attacks missed. Good. Then let's fight head-on. You only have one arm left. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Qing Emperor's shattered arm was still being burned by the flames and didn't immediately heal. Night Sorrow howled and unleashed the 7-star berserk light-shaking art, instantly increasing his strength by 7 times. He controlled the raging flame spear and shot out the forbidden spear, fusing 10 spears into one. At the crucial moment, Night Sorrow still chose to believe in his own spear art, and not Mo Yotian's soul-splitting evil executing spear. Boom. This time, Qing Emperor, who had chosen to fight Night Sorrow, had obviously underestimated Night Sorrow's strength. Unexpectedly, he was several times stronger than before. His other arm was also smashed into pieces. Qing Emperor, who had lost both his arms, was no match for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who had swallowed 2 soul recovery elixirs in a row, suppressed it in a frenzy. In the end, he broke all 4 limbs of the Qing Emperor. He unleashed his dark aura and used his soul power to control the Qing Emperor. The arrogant Qing Emperor didn't expect to be defeated at all, and he didn't expect Night Sorrow to use soul control on him, because the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. Logically speaking, the difference in soul power should be too great. However, he soon discovered that he was wrong, very wrong. Night Sorrow had the Tao Comprehension Wine, which provided him with surging soul power. The name Qing Emperor isn't something trash like you can have. Today, you will die without a doubt. But before that, I will change your name. From now on, you will be called Qing Gui, because you will soon become a corpse. After successfully controlling the Qing Emperor, Night Sorrow said coldly, then looked at the other Qing demons. He ordered, warriors of the gorilla clan, attack. After that, we will attack their treasury. Among the Qing demons' experts, there were 2 mid-level high gods and 70 to 80 low-level high gods. However, on Night Sorrow's side, there was not only him but also Qing Gui, who was under his control, and Gorilla Kui. After the battle began, Night Sorrow was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. He almost crippled one with each spear strike. Soon, the gorilla clan completely gained the upper hand. This time, try to leave no one alive. I want to devour them one by one. Night Sorrow yelled evilly. How could the remaining 20 or so warriors of the gorilla clan not obey? When the battle ended, a total of 31 high gods, including the 2 mid-level high gods, were captured. Go to the Qing demons and destroy them all. Then come back here and wait for me. Night Sorrow, who had no mercy for the Qing demons, brought all 31 high gods into the Soul Goblin clan's treasury. He killed them one by one and turned them all into power of virtue. After absorbing their power of virtue, Night Sorrow's power of virtue was successfully promoted to the High God Feather God level. It seems that using virtue to prove one's Tao is the path I should take in the future. Although his power of virtue increased very quickly, Night Sorrow did not have any inner demons in his heart. In fact, he felt very good. He had a clearer view of the future. Moreover, he had another idea about the trip to the Thousand Cavern Mountain. This was the change brought to him by the great increase in his strength. However, Night Sorrow had absorbed too much power of virtue. The holy aura around him was too strong, and the dark aura could not be suppressed. Jingyun, the holy aura on me is too strong. If I go out now, I will definitely be discovered. I need to go into seclusion for a while. Take Ao Qingwu with you and stay with me in the treasury. Worried about Jingyun and Ao Qingwu's safety, Night Sorrow let them stay in the treasury. He tried his best to absorb the dark aura, hoping to suppress the holy aura around him as soon as possible. This sounded simple, but it was actually very time-consuming. In the end, Night Sorrow used 30 years to barely suppress the holy aura around him. What made him and Jingyun feel strange was that after so many years, Ao Qingwu's body had completely recovered, and her vitality was very strong. However, she still did not wake up. There should be a big problem with her soul. I think that she might have destroyed her soul. This body is now just an empty shell. Looking at Ao Qingwu's sleeping appearance, Jing Yun said with an ugly expression. She had been in the god realm for much longer than Night Sorrow and had seen more. It seems that her soul was really tortured, so she chose to free herself. I wonder if she can be saved in this situation? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. As the feather god of virtue, he had the feeling of being compassionate. It should be possible to treat her, but I don't know how. Jing Yun said helplessly. Sigh. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. If we can successfully complete the mission and escape from the dark domain, we can talk about this. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow shook his head. Because he had absorbed too much power of virtue and wasted 30 years, he did not want to waste any more time to avoid any more problems. Jing Yun, we will soon enter the 1,000 Cave Mountain. Are you afraid? Before walking out of the treasury, Night Sorrow looked at Jing Yun with a smile. Of course I'm afraid, but for High Bay City, I still have to go. Jing Yun nodded seriously. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, No, you have done enough. Leave the rest to me. Give me the divine talisman. Also, take Ao Qingwu with you. Entering the 1,000 Cave Mountain was very dangerous. There were not only divine sovereigns, but also many half-step divine sovereigns. Night Sorrow could not even guarantee his own safety, so he did not want to take Jing Yun with him. If I take Ao Qingwu with me, you have no reason to go to the 1,000 Cave Mountain. I can't go. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Jing Yun understood that Night Sorrow was afraid that she and Ao Qingwu would be in danger, so he changed his plan. No. My strength is the reason. You have to believe that I have a way. Chapter 2456. Alright, this might be the best choice. After pondering for a while, Jing Yun slowly nodded in agreement. She took out the divine talisman and handed it to Night Sorrow. Originally, she felt that her strength was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but after entering the dark domain, she realized that the difference between their actual combat strength was like heaven and earth. If she fought with her life on the line, she might be able to defeat a high-level high god dark creature, but she would have to pay a heavy price. Night Sorrow, on the other hand, defeated a high-level high god with the help of pills. Moreover, he did not use the power of virtue. If he used it, there were not many dark creatures in the dark domain that could suppress him. If she forced herself to stay, she might become a burden. Don't worry, I will definitely turn the dark domain upside down. Now there are not many in the dark domain that can suppress me. Night Sorrow's deep eyes were filled with determination. This was the confidence brought to him by his increase in strength. Then he brought Jing Yun, Ao Qingwu, and the remaining 20 high gods of the gorilla race back to the gorilla race's territory. When they arrived at the gorilla race's territory, Night Sorrow asked Yan Kuei to contact the important figures of the 1,000 Cave Mountain and tell them about Ao Qingwu, hoping to get a chance to go to the 1,000 Cave Mountain. But after confirming that Ao Qingwu was captured, Divine Lord Anhun chose to send an envoy to the gorilla race's territory, not giving the gorilla race a chance at all. The envoy was a half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon. Night Sorrow was surprised to see this. He thought to himself, there aren't many half-step Divine Lord Dark creatures in the entire dark domain. They actually sent one just to pick up Ao Qingwu, who has already been captured. Could it be that Ao Qingwu has a secret that we don't know about? Or does she have a special value to the 1,000 Cave Mountain? No matter what, let's send them out of the dark domain first. At this time, Jing Yun, who was with Ao Qingwu, had not left. Night Sorrow gave an order to send the gorilla race's warriors away and send them back to the giant pit through the passage. With Jing Yun's strength, it was not difficult to deal with the gorillas in the giant pit. He was not worried at all, so he did not accompany them out. After that, Night Sorrow asked Yan Kuei to open the gorilla clan's treasury and search for useful resources. He wanted to increase his strength as much as possible, so that he could kill the emissary sent by Sir God Anhun and snatch his Sir God token. The Divine Lord token was a token issued by Divine Lord Dark Soul. With the Divine Lord token in hand, one would not be attacked when passing through the Dark Race's territory. If he succeeded, Night Sorrow would be able to pass through the territories of many dark races and reach the Thousand Cavern Mountain without shedding a single drop of blood. The Thousand Cave Mountain was very big. As long as Night Sorrow could reach it safely, he would have a chance to seal the Dark Demon Divine Lord. He was an invincible Divine Lord of the Dark Domain. If he was freed from the seal, it would be a fatal blow to High Bay City. As for the Divine Lord Order, the only thing that Night Sorrow wasn't sure about was whether Sir God-An Hun would discover him if he killed the half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon or controlled him. Forget it, there's no other choice anyway. We can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. After sending off Jing Yun and Ao Qinggu, Night Sorrow no longer had any worries. He decided on a strategy and began to search for useful resources in the Gorilla Clan's treasury. The Gorilla Clan's treasury had obviously existed for a longer time than the Spirit Devourer clan's treasury, so there were relatively more resources. However, most of them were darkness resources and various divine artifacts. At present, Night Sorrow didn't have much use for them. He only had a few bottles of pills that had yet to lose their effects. To him, the most useful thing was still the Spirit Recovery Pill. He found 6 pills this time, and with the remaining 4 he had a total of 10 pills. It was enough to support him to use the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art 5 times. Next was the Genesis Essence. Night Sorrow's body and the 1,000-kilogram Demon Subduing Spear had both absorbed the Genesis Essence. However, the Raging Flame Spear that had just been unsealed by Jing Yun clearly hadn't been strengthened by the Genesis Essence. Night Sorrow poured the 17 drops of Genesis Essence he found onto the Raging Flame Spear, allowing it to freely absorb them. The speed at which a divine artifact absorbed the Genesis Essence was clearly much faster than a cultivator. Very soon, the Raging Flame Spear in the Gorilla Clan's treasury released a resonant phoenix cry. Not only did the spear body become more solid, the flames on the spear body also became more dazzling. The Raging Flame Spear was originally a high god-level taboo divine artifact. Now that it has been strengthened by the Genesis Essence, it's already infinitely close to the Divine Lord level. It should be enough to fight against the half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon Envoy. After using the Raging Flame Spear to perform a set of spear arts, Night Sorrow was certain that this was the strongest divine weapon he could use. After obtaining the pills for battle, and completing the strengthening of the Raging Flame Spear, Night Sorrow set his sights on the Azure Phoenix battle armor that Jing Yun had given him. The current Blue Phoenix battle armor could withstand the attacks of a lower high god without the use of divine Yuan Qi. If this were in Seaside City, it would definitely be a heaven-defying divine artifact. But in front of a half-step Divine Lord Realm Dark Demon Emissary, it was clearly nothing. There were still a few months until the Dark Demon Envoy arrived. On this day, Night Sorrow ordered Yen Kuei to gather all the High God warriors of the Gorilla Clan. Standing in front of the leader's throne, he ordered, "After the nefarious Demon Clan lost to us, they sent someone to inform the Azure Demon Clan. If not for my strength, the entire Gorilla Clan would have been annihilated. Today, we will exterminate the nefarious Demon Clan. Moreover, we will attack their treasury. We obey the leader's orders. Exterminate the nefarious Demon Clan." More than 20 gorillas, including Yen Kuei, erupted with powerful auras. Their overall strength had increased by a lot because they had absorbed a large amount of darkness resources. 2 of them had reached the Middle High God realm. They worshipped Night Sorrow so much that they would fight to the death for him. "Let's go. With Yen Kuei leading the way, we will exterminate the entire nefarious Demon Clan." Under Night Sorrow's command, the group of 20 gorillas headed straight for the nefarious Demon Clan's lair. The nefarious Demon Clan and the Gorilla Clan were very close to the Soul Devourer Clan. Therefore, the distance between the 2 clans was not far. In less than a day, Night Sorrow led the Gorilla Clan warriors to the barren mountain where the nefarious Demon Clan resided. Kill. Night Sorrow did not have the slightest bit of pity for the dark creatures, because they did not have a heart of compassion. They only knew how to kill, and would not show any mercy to any life. Under his command, Yen Kuei and the other gorillas immediately entered battle mode. "I knew that your Gorilla Clan would come. This time, you will all be annihilated." At this moment, the leader of the nefarious Demon Clan, Xiekuan, appeared on the peak of the barren mountain. After roaring, he pointed at Night Sorrow and said in a bloodthirsty voice, "Yen Kuei, you think you are invincible, but you don't know that I have already made preparations. I have already joined forces with Overlord Moci, the leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, Moci? If you are joining forces, why don't you attack the Gorilla Clan's territory directly?" Night Sorrow asked in confusion. After reading Yen Kuei's memories, he knew about the Dark Demon Ape Clan. They were very similar to the gorillas, and there was an inexplicable connection between the two clans. However, they were very powerful and had never placed the Gorilla Clan in their eyes. The leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, Moci, was infinitely close to a half-step Divine Lord. He was the strongest clan leader in the surrounding million miles. With the Dark Demon Ape Clan's strength and the Nefarious Demon Clan, they could completely crush the Gorilla Clan. Chapter 2457. There's nothing strange about that. Our ancestors left a rule that the Dark Demon Apes are never allowed to step into the territory of the Gorilla tribe. Otherwise, the entire tribe will be annihilated. The leader of the Dark Demon Apes, Moci, smiled coldly. "But since you're here, I won't be going against the rules. It seems that your ancestors had foresight and knew that you'd be annihilated if you angered the Gorilla tribe. You should have listened to them." Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment before he shook his head. He thought that there was something fishy about this. But now, it seemed that the ancestors of the Dark Demon Apes had some divination ability, and knew that the Dark Demon Apes would be annihilated. "You want to annihilate the Dark Demon Apes with just 20 low-level high gods? What a joke. Warriors, kill them." The leader of the Dark Demon Apes, Moci, mocked and gave the order. "Kill." After receiving the order, the Dark Demon Apes and Nefarious Devils, as well as 100 high gods, charged towards the gorillas. They obviously had the advantage in numbers. "Gorilla tribe, follow me and kill them all." Night Sorrow didn't panic at all in the face of the powerful enemies. He took the blazing spear and 1,000 catty demon subduing spear from his back, and charged at the front of the group. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, he led the high gods of the gorilla tribe to kill. In the blink of an eye, he killed several opponents. "It seems that you have some skills, but your opponent is me." Although Night Sorrow's strength wasn't high, his battle prowess was clearly outstanding. He had continuously caused the Dark Demon Ape and Evil Demon to lose their battle prowess. The leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, Moci, saw that the situation wasn't right and immediately charged aggressively at Yishan. He was infinitely close to a half-step Divine Lord and wasn't easy to deal with. Night Sorrow used Essence Chi Smoke and Star's Tyrant Body to fight him. He also put the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear on his back, and used the blazing spear to fight. The strengthened Raging Flame spear kept spewing out black flames during the battle, which made Magic Thorn, who was an expert in close combat, very angry. It fiercely swung the warhammer in its hand, but it couldn't touch Night Sorrow. "Roar. I'm going to crush your bones. Coward. If you continue to fight like this, the Gorilla Clan will definitely be wiped out." After attacking dozens of times in a row, it still couldn't touch Night Sorrow. Moreover, it was being burned to the point that it couldn't bear it any longer. The Devil Thorn was so angry that it kept roaring. At this time, without Night Sorrow's help, the gorillas were indeed in a passive position. For lesser high gods were killed one after another. The Gorilla Clan might be completely annihilated. However, the Dark Demonic Ape and the Nefarious Devil race will definitely take the lead. Seeing that the gorillas were at a complete disadvantage, Night Sorrow diverted some of his attention to attack some of the high gods of the two races while holding back the Devil Thorn. Almost every strike of his spear took away a high god's fighting strength. With Night Sorrow's continuous success, the Gorilla Clan quickly stabilized the situation. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, the leader of the Nefarious Devil race, Xiaokuan, who had been defeated by Night Sorrow, got rid of a medium-high god of the Gorilla Clan, and cooperated with the Devil Thorn to attack Night Sorrow. With its help, the Devil Thorn quickly stopped Night Sorrow's momentum. However, it was only stopping. The two of them didn't have much of an advantage against Night Sorrow. especially Xiaoquan, who almost had his head pierced by the spear. How did its strength increase so quickly? This spear is a little strange. Although Xiaoquan lost to Night Sorrow the last time, the difference between the two of them wasn't that big. Now, it found that it was very difficult to resist Night Sorrow's casual attack. It couldn't help but panic. If it wasn't for the divine weapon in your hand, you would have been torn to shreds. The Devil Thorn's strength was extremely strong, but it also felt that the flame spear was very difficult to deal with. Divine weapons are also part of one's strength. Night Sorrow, who was testing the might of the flame spear, retorted. His spear technique was quite impressive, which was why he could control the flame spear. At this moment, the demon gorilla race's high god was gradually unable to hold on. They were beaten up by the group, and several of them were killed in succession. Including Gorilla Kuei, there were only 12 of them left. Night Sorrow, who was observing this situation, thought that since he had confirmed the might of the flame spear, it was time to use it. He directly used the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art, instantly increasing his strength by 7 times. Night Sorrow, who was originally able to hold his own against his opponent, had his strength increased by 7 times. The battle clearly took a turn for the better. Xiaoquan's body was instantly smashed to pieces by the spear, and only his head was left rolling on the ground. It's really hard to control the speed of his strength. This guy only has his head left. Can he still open the demon gorilla race's treasury? Night Sorrow felt a little awkward after almost killing Xiaoquan. He had come here today mainly for the demon gorilla race's treasury to find some materials to upgrade the Azure Phoenix battle armor. How can a mid-tier demon gorilla race leader unleash such a powerful attack? This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. After witnessing Night Sorrow's strength with his own eyes, Devil Thorn immediately felt that something was wrong. As a dark demon ape, he had a good understanding of the demon gorilla race. He knew that it was impossible for such a heaven-defying person to appear in the demon gorilla race. In fact, not only the demon gorilla race, but all the dark races did not have a genius who could fight across so many levels. You are a god realm cultivator. We were actually deceived by you for so long. Thinking of this, Devil Thorn immediately took out a sound transmission stone unique to the dark races, and prepared to inform the Thousand Cavern Mountain that Night Sorrow was a god realm cultivator. You are the god realm cultivator. You can't win, so you want to frame your opponent. So your dark demon ape race is this despicable. Take my forbidden spear. Devil Thorn's voice was very loud, and many of the dark creatures present heard it clearly. Night Sorrow, who did not want to be exposed for the time being, found a random excuse and used the flame spear to fire the forbidden spear. With the support of Essence Chi Smoke, Star's hegemonic body, and 7 Stars Berserk, this spear instantly shattered half of Devil Thorn's body. Night Sorrow then continued to attack, making Devil Thorn suffer the same fate as Xiaoquan. His body was completely destroyed, and only a large head was left. As long as I go all out, defeating dark creatures below the half-step Divine Lord level is not difficult. After defeating Devil Thorn, Night Sorrow had a deeper understanding of his own strength. However, he was not sure if he could defeat a true half-step Divine Lord, because the gap between the two had reached a critical point. Exterminate the Dark Demon Ape race and the Nefarious Demon race. After defeating the leaders of the two races, Night Sorrow immediately joined the battle. The Demon Gorilla race's high god did not doubt Devil Thorn's words. After Night Sorrow joined the battle immediately became one-sided. None of the Demon Gorilla race fell. None of the high gods of the other two races escaped, and almost all of them were killed. After taking complete control of the situation, Night Sorrow controlled Xiaoquan to open the treasury of the Nefarious Demon race. After plundering everything, he smashed Xiaoquan to death with a single punch, turning him into power of virtue. At this moment, Night Sorrow's merit energy had reached a critical point, and he could not absorb any more. Otherwise, he would not be able to suppress it, and it would explode in the dark precinct. Night Sorrow could easily leave by exploding his merit energy at the border of the dark precinct, but that would affect his plan to seal the Dark Demon Emperor, so he gave up on killing Devil Thorn. He let Devil Thorn lead him and the other high gods of the Demon Gorilla race to sweep the treasury of the Dark Demon Ape race clean. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.